हमेशा ओपन है। तेज तरार रफ्तार पकड़ने गुरु भिड़ने वाले दुनिया के नंबर 1 है। राहें भले ही थोड़ी बदल गई हों, लेकिन मंजिल वही है। एक ऐसा संडे जहां दिन ढलने ना पाए। ये कोई मामूली संडे नहीं गुरु, फॉरएवर वाली फीलिंग है। लोग कहते हैं बेंगलुरु इंडिया का IT कैपिटल है, लेकिन आज की ये रन मचा फॉरएवर परफेक्ट 10 है। वेलकम टू द परफेक्ट 10, TCS वर्ल्ड 10K 2024. Enjoy Madi Guru and Dendigu Bengaluru.
Started off at the Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw Parade Ground, and as light continues to shine, we've already witnessed a very bright start to the TCS World 10K Bengaluru. This city, which is the perfect amalgamation of culture, tradition and modern values, is hosting one of the fastest 10K races out there, the 16th edition. A very warm welcome to all of you joining our coverage. My name is Arpit Sharma, and over the next few hours, I'll be here with you to talk about everything surrounding this race. I'll be joined by multiple guests during the course of our broadcast. And just to remind you about what we will be talking about in terms of the race, here it is, the Open 10K, which already started at 5:10 a.m. and we've had some fantastic finishes there already. Will be followed by the Elite 10K women at 6:40 a.m. and that will be followed at 7:30 a.m. by the Elite 10K men. And then a lot of fun coming our way at 8:15 a.m. in the Majja run, and then the champions with disability and the silvers run will be following at 8:40 a.m. So lots to look forward to. So many themes around this race. We'll talk about all of that. And like I mentioned, there's going to be quite a few guests, including our star attraction, the International Event Ambassador. But before all of them make an appearance here, I'd like to welcome the man who will be doing most of the heavy lifting during the next 2-3 hours. It is renowned sportscaster Jack Nichols. Jack, a very warm welcome to our show. And we've had the past 2-3 days to reflect on what we can expect and just how has your first impression been of the city and this race as well?
Well, I think it's been really phenomenal, actually. I've been lucky enough to travel to a few cities in India covering various events, and this is my first time in Bengaluru, and it's a real vibrant city. It's a real young, youthful city, and everybody said, oh, this is the home of Indian running, and you go, okay, fine. Yeah. But then you take a walk down Cubbon Park in the morning, and it's kind of like Central Park in New York City. It's not quite that busy, it's not quite that big, but you've got runners everywhere that you're dodging and people walking their dogs, and it's a really wonderful place, and I think it's the perfect spot for this race.
Yep. And now, of course, we witnessed, and you've witnessed, like you said, gone out for a walk, seen people on the morning walks, jogs as well. And then this morning, we've seen that participation already, and we'll come to that in a little bit in that Open 10K. And you saw the sheer numbers, and I know, when you come to India, you're expecting numbers everywhere. But were you just a little surprised at the number of people participating in a very serious manner today?
Yeah, I think it's really amazing. And I think that when you go to elite events, a lot of elite events, if you go to an IPL game or you go to the Olympics, I've covered a few Olympics, and you go and it's all the professionals are there, right? But events like this, all the professionals are there running, but actually the community can compete as well on the same course, in the same place. And for me, that's why these sort of mass distance races are really magical. And I did a little run yesterday because, well, I'm busy today, so I couldn't enter today. But it would have been difficult to enter today because these entries get snapped up so quickly by the general public. The demand outweighs the amount of bibs available. It's remarkable.
That's how crazy the people are to participate here. And just to give you an idea, I already mentioned this, so we'll show you how it started off at 5:10 a.m. You think 5:10 a.m., not going to see credit, of course, to the metro services, which started way earlier than usual, just to ensure that people could come here easily. Of course, when there's so many people participating, close to 30,000 over all those categories, car parking can be a bit of a task, but that has been taken care of course, by the metro. And now, like I mentioned, the race started at 5:10 for the Open 10K. We've had our finishers for this, and we're going to be assisted by Madhu here. Madhu's joined by some of these people who've run it really fast. Madhu, over to you.
Morning.
Well, Avinash, good morning. The first
Good
race.
morning.
What is the time that you?
I did about 45 minutes odd, so it has been great. This also is my second completion of Pro-Cam Slam. So it's an exciting day in Bangalore. I'm all the way from Bombay just to complete my second Pro-Cam Slam. So it's a special day, and I think from a course perspective, it was great. Absolutely great energy, great course, and loved being a part of the TCS World 10K Bangalore.
Well, you have come from Mumbai. I'm sure Mumbai is world famous for the vada pavs. But then you are here in Bengaluru. So are you going to plan on belting some nice masala
Already
dosa?
done yesterday. Okay, ensured that we don't miss out from that. So already done yesterday. Had enough and more of carb loading to ensure that today's run goes very, very well in Namma Bengaluru style. So it's been a great, great race.
Well, I mean, we do have people who have told us they plan to run full marathons in the due course of time. Do you have plans like that as well?
Absolutely. So many, many more races coming in. Of course, Pro-Cam Slam is something which is really catching up well. Most of my friends are doing it. Many starting from Bangalore, many ending in Bangalore, and many of them also completing, different races in Bangalore. So I think it's been great and always a pleasure coming back to Bangalore. So it's been great. Overall, wonderful experience.
Well, thank you so much. Good luck. Thank you. We are going to try catching up with a few more athletes.
Thank you so much, Madhu. Incredible number he had. That bib number was fascinating. I think it was all 6 there. But well done to him completing the race. And here are the results. The top 3, of course, the prize money of 25,000 for the first, 15 for the second, and 10,000. Kailash, Ajit, and Rameshwar, of course, in the men Open 10K. And Aradhana, Rosie, and Neetu, the top 3 finishers there. So many congratulations to you winning that. And the prize money, of course, being awarded to them later on as well. And I did mention at the start of the show that I'd be joined by an array of guests, and the star attraction, of course, is our international event ambassador. Before I introduce who that legend is, I ask you, Jack, because, in the past as well, there have been some very high-profile names that have been in attendance here, and just how crucial is that for the event and for anyone who's associated with it, even running, say, an Open 10K?
I think it's really special because we see the event ambassadors at the start line cheering everybody on. Every single person in that Open 10K got cheered on by today's event ambassador. And here in Bengaluru, we've had so many incredible people over the years. You know, there's been Carl Lewis, Mike Powell, Marie Pierce have all been the event ambassadors. And in a world where Indian athletics is trying to grow and trying to get bigger, and especially looking ahead to Paris Olympics in the summer, it's really special to have these truly elite world greats here in this city encouraging everybody.
Definitely, and you've already mentioned our ambassador, so let's just take a look at who will be joining us later on and who has been inspiring everyone around her. It is Dame Valerie Adams. She's a twice Olympic Games gold medalist in the shot put. She's won 2 medals apart from that in Tokyo 2020, a bronze, which she says is one of her most valued medals. 4 times world champion as well, and 3 times Commonwealth gold medalist. And the great part is when you hear her story, and a lot of people talk about maybe they have more facilities. When you hear her stories, it's just a fight against all odds. And we'll hopefully get you that story when she joins us here. Now, unfortunately, we have to talk about one of the biggest losses that the sport of racing has endured in this year, 2024. We had our champion, Kelvin Kiptum, who unfortunately lost his life in February. And this man was just creating record after record. He broke the world record there. You can see in the 2023 Chicago Marathon, was looking ahead to Rotterdam. London as well was looking to go sub-2, as Jack will just tell us right now. And such a star, Jack, and it's the worst way to be reminded that life is so short.
Yeah, absolutely. He, as you say, killed in February in a car accident along with his trainer, and he was looking like he could have been the greatest of all time, marathon runner. That's how incredible his performances were, aged just 24. So it's obviously a real loss to the sport of athletics, but mainly it's a huge tragedy for his family and his friends.
Yep, condolences, of course, coming from everywhere around, from his competitors as well, whose record he's broken. Even they were just so saddened by his demise, and all of us here as well, and we offer our condolences to his friends and family. He was an inspiration, though, would have made for a perfect ambassador in the future. We have more stories of inspiration coming our way. The IDFC First Bank Journey to the Start, which is tales of massive heroes who've come from, when you talk about humble beginnings, that's what we talk about. The likes of Anish, Nimisha and Naina have really endured and have come out sparkling like diamonds, Jack.
Yeah, these stories are absolutely incredible. Like you say, we'll get more into them later on in the show. But they're so inspiring because we think of sport as being, you know, it's about who you know, it's about, you know, privilege and about
the facilities
you have. But all of those three athletes have come from, you know, kind of nothing and places where sport doesn't exist exactly.
Already been created in the past in Bengaluru, and we're hoping a lot more will be created today. Are we getting someone in?
Four iconic clubs. Two blockbuster semi-finals. Watch the UEFA Champions League semi-finals first leg live only on the Sony Sports Network. The UEFA Champions League is brought to you by FedEx and Lay's. UEFA Champions League sponsors.
My name is Cody Rhodes.
I'm numero uno, you know, the original king, I'm a sumo. No game, you old, I'm nouveau.
If you come at the king, you best not miss.
All hail to the king, I will...
Saturday night, 4th May, 9:30 p.m. Live only on the Sony Sports Network.
Can this game produce? Right at the end of any time. And so there will be more.
Get ready for the biggest football party of the season, Euro 2024. Starts 14th of June only on the Sony Sports Network.
I don't know what can happen in the future, but I'm gonna keep fighting to try to keep going.
I'm not a king, I'm the king.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. We rise on top, never show fear. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns out.
Would you believe it? Stop him if you can! How much more can this game produce? Right at the end of any time. And so there will be more.
Get ready for the biggest football party of the season, Euro 2024. Starts 14th of June only on the Sony Sports Network.
Four iconic clubs. Two blockbuster semi-finals. Watch the UEFA Champions League semi-finals first leg live only on the Sony Sports Network.
Welcome back to our coverage. Now, when I started the show, I said I'd be joined by guests over the course of the next 2-3 hours. So we have our first guest in studio right now. Mr. Sunil Deshpande is joining us. No pressure, Sunil. You're our first guest. You're kicking things off. No pressure on you at all. But you were also witnessing the start outside. I know we were here in the studio. We could hear the noise. We could hear the mayhem, the music as well. Just talk about what you experienced standing out there, waving the flag, watching so many runners.
Absolutely electrifying experience, Arpit. Jack, good morning to all of you. 17,000 plus runners, TCS World 10K in the 10K category is something unheard of in Bangalore. Last year, 15th edition of TCS World 10K was a momentous occasion. This year, we have surpassed the last year's number. And it's so heartening. Credit to everyone involved. Yeah. And most importantly, the BMRCL Metro team who made this possible for us. Of course, the Army was given this wonderful venue,
Yep.
new venue, new setup. I'm truly excited. So are my colleagues who ran this morning, and so are the colleagues who are going to run the Majja run also later in the day.
Oh, fantastic. That's great about the participation that you mentioned. And you mentioned a couple of new things. There's a new course, a new venue as well, but something that's been true to the event since it started, of course, is giving back. And that's a big factor of what TCS does. So just talk about how you feel this event and everything associated with it impacts that.
So, firstly, I would want to credit my chairman of Tata Group, Mr. N. Chandrasekharan, who kind of really revolutionized the running aspect into our DNA at the organization level. Way back in 2007 is when Mr. Chandra started long distance running, and 2009 is when he ran the New York Marathon. And when he did New York Marathon, and then that time I think ING was the title sponsor of New York Marathon, and then TCS took over and there was no looking back. So 12 global races, phenomenal camaraderie that we see. Giving back to the society, like you rightly said, is something which is a part of our ecosystem. All these runs, the races, the distance running, all of that put together, of course, fosters the health, wellness, and the community living that we are all a part of. Every race in every city that we organize, there is something very, very unique that we do, taking community into our ecosystem, and then we kind of work out on various models.
You mentioned, of course, philanthropy. You've spoken about all those cities as well. I'll come to that in a little bit, because you said there's something very unique about every city that you have an interaction with this race, and we're going to come to that because you talked about record participation this time around at the Tata Mumbai Marathon. There was a massive record set when it comes to philanthropy.
Of the Tata Mumbai Marathon have collectively raised 72 crores, 39 lakhs, 11,647.
Mumbai always manages to give what's due. A hand, a round of applause, a word, a promise. And this January, India watched in awe as every Mumbaikar's swan song pulled out all the stops. As the distance running season takes a turn, the action now shifts from India's financial capital to its running capital. And today, Bengaluru gets ready to set a new personal best towards making a difference. Starting with today, ending with forever.
It's a staggering number, 72 crores. It brings a smile on your face as well, as I can see. And I'm pretty sure anyone who's watching, who's seeing that number, is really appreciating everyone who's put an effort around it, surrounding it. And just talk to us about that specifically, and a couple of the other cities that you mentioned around the world, because it's a matter of pride for all of us that there's an Indian enterprise leading the line there.
So this has been a very calculated and a very thoughtful effort from our side. It is not that we are just the title sponsors of it. We want the entire community of runners to emerge and blossom in all these cities. 12 marathons globally, like I said. This kind of gets people, pros, amateurs, and the beginners alike together from different walks of life. People join in together and truly demonstrate the true spirit of running. That's something which we really take a lot of pride in. And of course, like you rightly pointed out, the community that is involved, overall the runner community, that if I can say, there are multiple volunteers who are doing some phenomenal job. Globally also, if you take just our TCS Amsterdam event, over $18 million is what we had picked up from there as a charity contribution. And we use these funds for various initiatives, right? Few of them to really call out for is the kind of work that we do for the oncology and cancer treatment, the first aid, and the overall nation building that we do with our efforts there is something which we take a lot of pride in. Like I said, it is not just being a title sponsor, it is about how we kind of resonate with the crowd there and how we kind of get them moving and pick up running. as a key sport and the physical engagement activity. Yeah.
That's brilliant, and thank you so much for the efforts of you and everyone involved in this. And right now, we're joined by someone else who's obviously making an effort with regards to that as well. Madhu is joined by a charity partner from Bengaluru. Madhu, it's over to you again.
Amongst many of the philanthropists, NGOs and organizations and individuals, I am joined by Zamruda Khande, who is the CEO of 8Bs. And ma'am, if I had to ask you about how different it is to work from refugee camps and army conflict zones to be a part of the marathon, as a layman, if I had to ask you, is there something much bigger than what meets the eye here?
Oh, definitely. It's such a big opportunity, and it's such a big opportunity for us to raise something bigger than we know. There's so many people, 30,000 people this year who are here. And what a better opportunity than this platform to get everybody to talk about things that we back in refugee camps and at conflict zones are always thinking of. I cannot see a better opportunity, honestly.
And speaking of opportunities, how do you look at this marathon as a promotion to promoting equality in society? I mean, all of us talk about how the society needs to be equal for everybody. And how do these marathons help, according to you?
So if I see it, if you just look around yourself, the equalizer is right in front of us. We are here today. We have at the Manekshaw grounds with the army, common people. There are people from all walks of life. As I said earlier, 30,000 people are here. That's an equalizer by itself.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And Arpit, it's back to you while I collect a few more stories that add up to all the spice.
Thank you so much, Madhu, for that, talking about all that effort that again goes around and particularly speaking about that equality factor. Just to remind all of viewers that the prize money here in Bengaluru is equal for the men and women, which is obviously something that we look forward to going ahead. Just one quick thing before I thank you and let you go. She mentioned, the 30,000 participating. Of course, there's a physical aspect to that. That's close to 28,000, but there's also more participating online, and that's driving the fitness initiative more, isn't it?
So we are not just the title sponsors, we are also the technology partners in various runs that we do across. Like I was saying, our leadership is something which is really kind of motivating our colleagues. We have 600,000 employees globally at TCS, and over 1/3 of them are runners, distant runners. Wow. So that's something which our leadership is able to imbibe as a part of our culture and DNA. Lot of credit goes to technology, like you rightly mentioned, Arpit, that over 1,000 virtual runners are there. They will get some unique experience, the kind of apps that we have developed, which kind of helps you to get personalized coaching, which gives you deep data analytics on what you need to work on your body and things like that. There are a lot of unique things that we are doing as technology sponsors. Des Linden, our Boston Marathon winner and along very, very popular run. So we created a digital twin of her heart.
Okay. Yeah.
And this kind of not just measures the basics of your heart rate, etc. It also measures the way your muscle tissue of your heart is functioning. And this gives her a lot of deeper insights on what she needs to do about her body and how she needs to really work on it.
Wow.
Similarly, we are going to go to multiple organs and overall a human body, where we are going to have a digital twin on all of them, and we are going to give our runners very, very deep insights about what their body is all about and how timely intervention can really make them much, much better.
That's fantastic, and I would like to just say this at this point, that if you were to make like a digital twin of TCS, that heart would look really, really huge, because everything that
we have a large heart.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that. Thank you so much, Sunil, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Arpit. Thank you, Will. Thank you so much, Jack.
Now, of course, there's a race to look forward to, and we already saw the Open 10K, and now it's going to be over to the elite women who will be racing in just a while. Here are they arriving, of course, for this race. And Jack, I'll bring you onto this. We watched the press conference there. We were talking to them as well, getting a few inputs from them. They just look fairly comfortable, right? Most of them said, yeah, just wake us up, make us run. It's all right with us.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some of the top 10K runners in the world. Immaculate Akol is the second fastest woman in the world over the 10K. So this is a really, really elite field, and I can't wait to see them race pretty soon, actually.
Yep, it's coming our way very, very soon. So we're taking a very small break here. On the other side, the elite women will be racing.
I don't know what can happen in the future, but I'm gonna keep fighting to try to keep going.
No, I'm not a king. I'm the king.
Fantosia's a hunter, the best 125-pound fighter in the world. Steve Arsag.
This man is very well rounded.
He can do it all at a world-class level.
The legendary king of Rio, Jose Aldo Jr. The man's an absolute living legend.
Jonathan Martinez, 6 wins in a row.
UFC live from Rio de Janeiro.
Watch UFC 301. Sunday 5th May live on Sony Sports Network.
Ronaldo, Neymar, Benzema, Mane, Mahrez, Neves, Gerrard, Firmino. भाई ये लिस्ट तो मेरे मोनोलॉग से भी लंबी है. And अभी भी, this is just the beginning of the next big thing in the world of football. Roshan Saudi Pro League. हर वीकेंड वो भी प्राइम टाइम पर.
One of Saudi Pro League's greatest ever games.
कहाँ देखेगा? Bro, अपने सोनी स्पोर्ट्स नेटवर्क पर.
I don't know what can happen in the future, but I'm gonna keep fighting to try to keep going.
No, I'm not a king. I'm the king.
Four iconic clubs. 2 blockbuster semi-finals. Watch the UEFA Champions League semi-finals first leg, live only on the Sony Sports Network.
My name is Cody Rhodes, once undesirable, become undeniable.
I'm numero uno, you know, the original king, I'm a sumo. No game, you old, I'm nouveau.
And now, your undisputed WWE champion. If you come at the king, you best not miss.
All hail to the king, I will not fall.
Watch the new king of WWE, Cody Rhodes, defend his title at WWE Backlash. Saturday night, 4th May, 9:30 p.m. Live only on the Sony Sports Network.
Welcome back. And now, of course, we will have the elite women racing in a little while, but I started the show again talking about a new course, and that's what we're going to focus on a little bit, because there have been slight changes. There have been very careful changes, keeping in mind the running conditions, the people coming from abroad to run here as well, and of course people who've run this before. And we were taking around a little tour of the new course. Jack, and what was your first impression of it?
Yeah, it's a great new course. It's actually made things a little bit better for the city because it doesn't go through Cubbon Park anymore, so it actually causes a little bit less disruption. There's a sort of gentle bit of downhill towards the Old Sore Lake, and then a little bit of gentle back uphill, but overall it looks like it's going to be quite a fast course, and one where we could see the event record being broken today.
That's interesting you say that, because that's what I was going to ask. You know, when we obviously show the course, there's a couple of U-turns in there. You mentioned the gradient. There are actually two, one going towards, of course, Vedant Saudha as well, which is milder than the one that you spoke about. And in what way do you feel, you've already mentioned that you feel like the event record will be broken, but for the majority of the runners, how do you feel it will affect them?
Yeah, I think it'll be positive for them, and I think they'll all keep together. And even the U-turns, for example, up at Vidana Suda is quite a wide one, so it won't cost them too much time, I wouldn't have thought. I think the really interesting thing is going to be that run back up the hill. Once they're down at the bottom, at about kilometre 6 and 7, it starts to go back up. And we'll see in the early stages the pack staying quite together.
Yeah.
And then at some point, someone's going to make a break. And will it be that uphill section? When you're 3/4 of the way through the race, you're starting to get a bit tired. That's where it gets tough. And that's where we'll sort of separate the good from the not quite so good.
All right. Well, Jack's obviously spoken about the course. We got a little bit of the tour as well, but it's time for you to take that tour. We sent a couple of our pacers down to check out the new course.
It's always the journey and not the destination that matters.
Close to 18,000 amateur runners and 90 elite athletes will etch their footsteps in history. Interesting?
For the first time ever, here's presenting the new Open 10K
and the elite race course for the TCS World 10K.
An ode to discipline and effort, both the Open 10K and the Elite 10K.
Of the Alsur Lake.
Kilometer 10 throws up the first uphill near the South United Football Club.
Then another as you head onto Dickinson Road.
And then the final uphill battle, which is the last 300 meters on Kamraj Road. The perfect sharp incline for the sprint finish of dreams. While the new course may look straight and simple, it's one where the cards unfold right at the close.
This one will not just need you to stay busy in the easier sections, but also bide your time to go all out.
Trust your training.
Go with your instincts. And don't forget to have fun.
It's absolutely fantastic to watch that. I'll cover a couple of things there, Jack. I'll just start off with the fact that they mentioned, they spoke about the different parts of the course that you need to focus on. And they said the end is where it's going to all unfold. For a lot of people who might be watching, they think, okay, 10K, get on a treadmill, just get outside your house and run. But the strategy that goes into this, for a lot of people, is immense. It's tough for people who've not done it to understand at times.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what is really amazing is how fast these runners are running, right? The other day, I did it. I'm not a young man, but, let's say mid-30s. Let's call it early mid-30s. Okay. And I sprinted as fast as I could the other day. And I got to 14.6 miles per hour, okay? These, which for like 4 seconds and then I died. And these athletes though, these elite athletes, they have to average over 13 miles an hour for the whole time. So when I sprint, the fastest I can sprint is 15. These guys are all running over 13 miles an hour for 10 kilometers straight. It's unbelievable. Like, you can't keep up with them if you were sprinting, but they're doing it for such a long period of time. They have to average faster than an auto rickshaw.
Yeah.
Around this course.
It's incredible. And you've come at a time when Bengaluru, of course, has not had as much traffic because of the elections, because it's the weekend. So you've probably looked at the city and said, hey, well, this is great. Look at the roads that are so empty. It's not usually like that. So these racers will be much faster than, of course, the auto rickshaw that you mentioned as well. But we will talk about a lot more things for now. Of course, the elite women will be racing. So let's just go down.
Let's welcome the women and male athletes gunning for the top honors. Carrying the lucky bib 101 bronze at the Valencia 10K, she is as spectacular as she is dangerous. Please welcome Lillian the Lighting Cassette from Kenya. In bib number 102. In bib number 102, also coming in after some electrifying racing in Valencia, please welcome the Electric Immaculate Call, also from Kenya. With just 11 seconds off the 10K world record, and event record is certainly on the cards thanks to a call. In bib number 105, the current 1,500 meters under 20 world record holder, her kick in the last stages can take down the best of the best. Please welcome Lemlem, the comeback kid Hailu from Ethiopia. Now to the Indian women, bib number 151, a familiar number, a familiar face. Event record in 2018, winner in 2019, runner-up in 2022, now back at her favorite hunting ground. Please welcome the sensational Sanjeevani Jadhav. In bib number 152, she might be the youngest competing here today, but she is also the defending champ. With love from Kashi, the terrific Tamsi Singh. Now to the elite men. Just 19 in history have to run the 10K in under 27 minutes, and this new superstar can derail the most experienced. The fastest in the field and on air of mystery, the bib number 01, Peter, the mystery man, Mwangi from Kenya. 11th place finish in 2022, second fastest in the field here today. In bib 02, the former African junior champ, the daring, the table-turning Bravin, the fighter, Kiptu from Kenya. And in bib number 3, Samo Brevin, he's been conquering the Spanish arenas in 2024 with a stunning 10K at the Castellón and the victory at the Sevilla Half Marathon, taking the challenge to his Kenyan counterparts. Please welcome Brevin, the gladiator, Kiprop. Now to the Indian men. Pakka hai aaj irada, hausla aaj ajot hai. जीतने निकले हैं अपना पहला किताब, इनके लिए आज हर मन में जोत है. In bib number 51, the runner-up at the TCS World 10K 2023, the people's champ, Harmanjot Singh. And in bib number 59, perhaps the fastest in the field with a stunning 29:10 at the National Open Athletics last year. After missing out and making a mark here last year, he's back to salvage lost pride. Please put your hands together for Mohan, the game changer Sani. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen, to be swept off your feet, because this is going to be breathtaking. In exactly 1 minute, we're going to be starting the World 10K. Remember, athletes,
we've just had an introduction, of course. The Supermen joined the Superwomen as well, Jack, and of course, MC, they're just talking about what all of these have achieved. Nicknames as well that we'll try to remember and cover during the race. But your expectations from this field?
Yeah, I think Immaculata Cole there has got to be the favourite. Her PB of 28 minutes and 57 seconds, which she set in Valencia a little bit earlier on this year. But Lillian Kasait is very competitive as well. As you can see, a lot of Kenyans in the field, an Ethiopian. Faith Chepukek there's two Faith Chepukeks in the field, so we'll keep an eye on those and make sure that you can tell the difference. Again, Gladys Kasea is out there as well, who's going to be very interesting to watch. The 31-year-old Kenyan who has done a 30-40, but that was back in 2015. And for the Indian women, well, as we heard there, Sanjeevani is going to be the favourite, I think, because she's coming back, the winner in 2018, the event record holder, but Tamsi Singh won last year. And Tamsi Singh's only 19 years of age, whereas Sanjeevani's 28. So we've got the real sort of experience versus the youth and the... Tamsi Singh's a really exciting future of Indian athletics.
Right. Yeah, okay. Well, the names there, of course, Poonam Dinkar Sonune is there, Ekta Rawat, Ujala, Pinu Yadav, Poolan Pal and Bharti Nayan will be running as well. These are their times that are listed on the right side of your screen, their personal best in the 10K. And you saw the introduction of the men there as well, the mystery man, the fighter, the gladiator in there, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really exciting about these guys is you look at the best times for Peter Mwaniki and Ravin Kiptu, they're only separated by 3 seconds. So we're in for a really, really incredibly close race between these guys. We've got Hillary in there as well. Kibet Nadiwa has a 27:45 personal best. John Welle, excited to see what he can do as well. And then we've got some real youngsters out in the men's race. We've got Jemberu Cisse, who's just 18 years of age. We've got Hagos Eob there, who's only 17. They're both making their 10-kilometer debuts, so they don't even have, well, they will be setting a personal best today because it's their first ever race in the 10 kilometers.
Yep.
And in the Indian men, Harmanjot Singh, who we saw there, has a PB of 30 minutes exactly. He has got to be the favourite. He finished second last year. This is his third year entering in a row, and he won the Delhi Half Marathon last year, so he's got to be the favourite, I think, in the Indian.
And Dharmendra, the likes of Dharmendra, who run sub-30, of course, Vivek More as well, Sandeep Singh, Deepak Bhatt will be looking to add to that pressure. Of course, Harmanjot will be looking to go one better, but there's a lot of sub-30s in there, which will obviously give him a lot of competition. And just talking about, we'll be starting the elite women's race in a little bit. First up, I just wanted to cover, because we saw that course over there, the Pacers bit, because the Open 10K here is the race which has only women pacers, and that's pretty significant. And a lot of these pacers have given up their own dream to race in the race just to ensure that other people can achieve theirs.
Yeah, it's really cool. Basically, what the pacers do is they run the course with a flag, and the flag will say there's a time they're aiming for on the top of it. And so if you say, right, I want to run this 10 kilometers in 50 minutes, well, in that case, you follow Mewish Hussain, who's running around holding up the flag that says 50 minutes on, and she will pace herself. Because as we saw when the Open 10K started, the people at the front were very excited, and they sprinted off into the distance, but that's not the way to maintain that pace throughout. So we had, as you say, 13 all-female pacers out there, which is really cool.
Yep, it absolutely is. And we'll come back to them and the elite women as well. For now, we're going back to Madhu. We spoke about the fact that, we've had the support of the Indian Army to put this together, the venue, the start point and all, and we're getting just a little more information about that support right now.
Brigadier Rajesh, a very warm welcome.
Thank you so much.
Sir, what has it been like organizing this event with ProCam?
You see, for me personally, it was a very, very nascent experience, a very good experience, and I wish ProCam the very best. The colossal amount of preparation what has gone into it is unimaginable, actually. And personally, it is, as an individual, it is my first experience to come and see an event of such magnitude. So when I was standing at the flag of dice, I thought within 2-3 minutes everybody will clear off. But even after 15 minutes, people are running. So that shows the popularity of ProCam and the way they have revolutionized Indian running. Very best of luck. And wherever we can be of assistance, we'll be of assistance, because health and physical fitness is the forte of for everybody, actually. And survival of the fittest is basically having a wonderful health, so that you look after yourself and your family. So wonderful future for ProCam, and to TCS, thank you so much.
Well, it looks as though the race is about to get underway. There we go. The elite women in the 2024 TCS World 10K Bengaluru get underway. The flag being waved by Valerie Adams there on the left-hand side. And we have the elite women taking part. 11 elite athletes, 22 Indians. And if at some point they will split up into two packs, we would have thought. But they're beginning now with this long run down Cubbon Road. It's about just under a kilometre and a half before they then turn left. So they've got a nice straight stretch to get going. You can see hitting the front straight away there is Kiveng, and she is the pacer. So Judith Kiveng, 30-year-old Kenyan, you can see there Kiveng on the front of her bib. She's not competing, she is just the pacer, keeping the pace for these elite athletes in the early stages. Akol is there on the right-hand side. She is the favourite. And over on the left-hand side, in the early stages, looks like it's Faith Chepkwet. But this is very, very early stages, as I say, as they make their way down towards the left-hander. The world record is for women in the 10 kilometres is 30 minutes and 35 seconds. It's 28 minutes and 46 seconds. And we have a lot of these runners are in that sort of field. So I think a world record today is going to be tough, because for running, an event like this, 10 to 15 degrees Celsius is the ideal. It's already 23, 24.
It's interesting you said that, because we were at the press conference as well, and one of the questions that was asked was, will the weather affect you that much? And most of them seem to shrug it off, but yeah, of course, conditions do affect them. I think only one will be racing later. Bravin Kiprop said, yeah, these conditions are a little warmer. The rest of the athletes said, yeah, we can go about it. And we are showing you the prize money as well, close to 22 lakh rupees, actually $26,000 for the winner, 17,000 for who comes in second, 10,000 for third, Fourth place gets $5,000, fifth place $4,000. And Jack, you know, when we talk about 10Ks, this is the world's richest 10K. When you're looking at the fifth prize, there's a lot of 10Ks that offer that to the winners. And here in Bengaluru, you can see, and while we say, of course, everything about sports should be directed towards the passion and all, an incentive like the prize money is, of course, welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of these Kenyan athletes, the athletes from the east of Africa, they see running as a way to make a good living. Here we're looking at the Indians at the moment, and they have a reduced prize money compared to the international athletes.
Yeah,
but it's still plenty.
Oh, it is. I mean, 2.75 lakhs is quite a lot of money to make if you're running one race. Of course, there's a lot of effort that goes in from all these athletes into it. But like you said, you know, it's looked at as a means, a livelihood as well. These athletes put in a lot of effort around the year to maybe race just a handful of races, but if this is the kind of prize money that they can get off it, as we're seeing Sonam here break out in front, then it is commendable, and it is something that will drive the sport ahead as well. We're talking about inspirational stories, we're talking about humble beginnings over the course of the next 2-3 hours, and those humble beginnings do not need to be humble endings as well. We can live in comfort and use this as a means.
Yeah, Sonam has absolutely sprinted here away from the rest of the pack. That's quite remarkable there, because she's not expected to be one of the front runners. Set 36 minutes and 27 seconds last year, so about 3 minutes or so slower than we'd be expecting, but she's right up the front here. Meanwhile, Immaculée Dacol is taking the lead of the women's elite race. She's got ahead of the pacer here, so she seems very, very comfortable in these early stages. As we mentioned a little earlier, the weather, there's a difference between the weather being difficult. Well, let's take a look at the course. So they are currently on this long run from the start line on Coburn Road all the way down past the cricket stadium there on the left-hand side, then a left-hand turn here in between the High Court building and the Vidana Suda. Then we turn right back onto Coburn Road past Mint Square on the left-hand side, and this is back along where they just came, and so they'll come back to the start line, and once they're back at the start line here, we turn left. This is where the downhill descent starts. The street gets narrow, and they wind their way down through Maingard Cross Road and down St John's Road, and then this is the lowest point of the course at Old Saw Lake here. Then a U-turn just by War Memorial Garden. It's still flat here, but it's around here, around this left-hand turn when we come back onto St John's Road at kilometre 7, but it starts to go back uphill, and that's where the challenge is going to come. That's where we're going to separate the wheat from the chaff. Then we come back onto Coburn Road once more, back the way we came again, another sharp U-turn, and then we're into the final kilometre, a 1 kilometre stretch. The last many years here in Bengaluru, the race is finished inside a stadium on a track, but now it is just a straight sprint all the way to the finish for that final kilometre.
And that makes quite a difference, because for anyone watching, they look at 10K times around the world, and if you've not raced in it, you wonder why there's such a difference between them. But just where you race, the kind of gradients that you talked about, maybe in our everyday life, we look at this road and we say, well, that's not really a gradient. But if you're trying to run up or run down it, even running down, you know, a lot of people assume that it might just be much faster, much easier, but you've got to be more careful when you're coming down. This is a slight gradient, so obviously not going to affect them as much. And they're breaking into quite a pace. And again, talking about that pace that you mentioned as we're seeing Immaculée. And just a word about Immaculée, we were talking to her, you know, a couple of days ago, and she mentioned that unfortunately for her, her first day here wasn't the best. She had a little bit of a stomach bug, and there you go, that's that U-turn that you were talking about, the Vidhan Sauda on the left, which is spectacular architecture. I was mesmerized by it. Jack, I've been to Bengaluru a few times. This is one of my favorite cities to travel to, and I had never seen the Vidhan Sauda, and I'm pretty sure you and I both were looking at it in awe.
Yeah, exactly. It's an absolutely incredible building, built in 1956 out of white granite, and it's 213 meters long. So by the time they've gone past it twice, they'll have done 400 meters. So that'll be something to keep them going. There you can see it on the left-hand side, and the High Court building on the right-hand side. So the elite athletes have come through it, and it is Akol who is still leading the way. It looks as though Lillian Kasait is coming with her. She's on the left-hand side in the sort of half green, half white top. bib, I should say, as they come back up towards the right-hander that'll take them back out onto Coven Road. Akol is leading the way then at the first split. Faith Chepakek is third, Lemnem Helu fourth, and then Gladys Kamboka in fifth position in the early stages, and we've got the Indians there running on the left-hand side. But I think it's going to be a really exciting year this year for this event, because so many of these athletes are looking ahead to Paris 2024.
Yeah.
So many of them are hoping to qualify. They've got the big Kenyan trials coming up in June, where a lot of these runners will be competing, trying to get a spot at the biggest sporting event in the world.
Yeah, of course, and they will have one eye on that, but all their focus today is here. And now they've settled into a sort of that meditative run, and little factors can affect them. And again, to the mere mortals, maybe we don't understand it as well, but for these runners who are just so focused right now, just in that zone, running at that pace non-stop. And again, we look at the running and we think, well, it's not that fast, and that's only because there's a motorcycle running next to them with the camera, because it's humanly impossible to get a camera and run along with them. And they're continuing to set the pace there. They've had that turn there again that you were mentioning, going towards, as you can see, the post office in the back there, and they will be heading towards that slight gradient that Jack was talking about.
So these top four have really broken away now, haven't they? This is really impressive, with Akol leading the way, and they've ditched the pacer quite quickly, to be honest. It's very, very impressive, and you can see Kasate there on the left-hand side. Akol came to sort of stardom, I suppose, earlier this year in Valencia, where the world record was actually broken by Agnes Ngetik, but Akol pushed her all the way and finished just 11 seconds behind. So it was really, really impressive from Akol, and as a result, she is currently the second fastest woman in the world, over 10 kilometers. But I tell you what, Kasate's not letting her go, is she? She's really, really determined here, Lilian Kasate, the 101. She got a bronze in the 2017 World Cross Country Championships. She competed at the last Olympics in Tokyo, did Lilian Kasate. She finished 12th in the 5,000 meters. She's a gold medal winner in the African Games in the 5,000 meters. And in that Valencia race I was mentioning, she finished third, Akol finished in second. So these two real rivals, and actually Akol was saying to us the other day, wasn't she, that they all just kind of pushed each other on. Once they're in that group, you get into that zone and you push each other on, and these two now are starting to drop the rest of the pack. It's amazing how quickly these races transform. A minute ago, there was four of them all together.
And you can see Lemlin there in the back. She's, she looks like she's doing okay, probably just struggling to keep pace with the leaders up front. And we'll continue with the race right now. There are many prominent personalities in attendance for this race in Bengaluru. Let's join one of them right now.
Joining us is the Additional Chief Secretary, Mr. Manjunath Prasad. Sir, if you can tell us a bit about the public-private partnership needed to make events like this possible.
This is one of the flagship events of Bangalore, which the people of Bangalore always look forward. And to make this event successful, it is very important that the government and the private sector both come together. In the government, the assistance provided by the police, especially cordoning off all the important roads for this event, and the assistance provided by the Bangalore Metro and the Bangalore Metropolitan Transport Corporation to ensure that people from nook and corner of the city reach this event early in the morning is a mammoth task, and we at the government, especially the Department of Youth Empowerment and Sports, we have ensured that this event is successful, and we have provided all possible cooperation to the event.
Thank you so much.
Well, these two are absolutely flying up at the front. Akol and Kasate, they've come through the first 3 kilometers in just a little over 9 minutes. And at the moment, after 3 kilometers, using the projected times, it looks as though they are on course to beat the event record at the moment, which is currently 30 minutes and 35 seconds. This could be a sub-30-minute run, potentially. And like I was mentioning earlier, although the conditions, the heat isn't going to be too much of a problem. They're not going to struggle to get to the end, right? But it's not the perfect conditions. And when you're talking about elite sport, in any elite sport, it's all about the tiny perfect conditions. So what you want is a nice, dry day, no breeze, 10 to 15 degrees. In Europe usually, because also the reason that a lot of these Kenyan athletes and athletes from the Rift Valley are so strong is because they grew up acclimatized at 8,000 feet above sea level, which is about 2,500 meters. Now here in Bengaluru, we are still quite high. It's 3,000 feet here, 900 meters above sea level. So again, it's all these little parts that actually mean you can't quite get enough oxygen into your blood and into your lungs in the way you could when the air is thicker and richer down lower. So it's all of these tiny, minute details that mean they're not going to struggle, but can they break world records at an event like this? It's going to be tricky in this kind of heat. Meanwhile, in the Indians competition, it looks like Sanjivani has now taken the lead, the 2018 winner. She won the Tata Mumbai Marathon in that same year in 2018 and won the Delhi Half Marathon in 2022. So she's a really strong contender. You can see the Open 10K finishers down at the bottom there as well. But it is a really strong performance so far from Sanjivani. She's aiming today to beat her own record. She says that training went well and that 10 kilometers is actually her favorite discipline. Yep. She's got a good little lead at the moment.
Interestingly, there is an incentive to break the event record as well. The athletes will get an extra bit of prize money if they break that event record. And like Zach has said, it looks like right now it is on course. We're watching Harmanjot here, of course. Sanjeevni, of course, running up front, like you mentioned, you know, all her accolades still raring to go. Her training has been good. She would obviously be hoping that this race in the near future also helps her in a lot of ways, not just financially, but in terms of athletics and athletic tournaments coming forward. You already mentioned the biggest sporting bonanza that's coming our way from Paris later this year, and these athletes are throwing down a marker right now. Both of these that you've spoken about, Lillian and Immaculate. And kudos to Immaculate, because in spite of having that little bit of problem when she came down to India the first day, she seems to have recovered all right. She said she would rest. She said she would be focused on what she was going to eat over the next couple of days. Said she would train just mildly, not too hard. And it seems like everything that she's done seems to be paying off, as Sanjeevni has pulled off from the pack quite a big time.
Yeah, this is a very strong run, isn't it, from Sanjeevni? And you were saying earlier on about athletes moving on to, you know, other competitions. And Sanjeevni is one of those Indian athletes that actually has sort of broken away from just racing in India. Even last year, she competed in Portland, Oregon, in the United States, and finished second in the Portland Track Festival in the 10,000 meters. So a really impressive runner. I think it's worth just quickly pointing out, you'll hear us say 10-kilometer run race, but you'll also hear 10,000 meters race. And obviously that is the same distance, but a 10-kilometer race is like this, on a road, wherever the course takes you. The 10,000 meters or the 5,000 meters are specifically on the track, inside a stadium, 25 laps for the 10,000 meters of an Olympic running track. So that's the difference between the two. And they are slightly different disciplines, as you can imagine. Running up hills, running down hills, avoiding pedestrians who are trying to cross the road. And it is going to slow you down a little bit. So for example, the world record in the men's 10,000 meters is 13 seconds faster than the 10 kilometers, even though they're the same distance.
Yep. As we're taking a look at this running, just a reminder that while it looks great while these athletes are running and they make it look effortless, it does come with a few perils. And while the organizers have ensured that there is enough medical facilities, enough doctors there to help people if they have any sort of minor or major problems, one of the initiatives that has been undertaken is training people with basic CPR and just how crucial it could be.
It is very important to know about CPR, because if your fellow runner is having a cardiac arrest, it is very important for you to know the baseline of the CPR, where you can give us medical support without the arrival of any ambulance or any medical aid. To perform the CPR, you did not have any degree or you did not need to be a medical personnel. All you need to know about is the right technique, early identification. I'm very glad that ProCam has taken such a great step of initiative. I believe that this will be an eye-opener for every individual. I would like to wish the runners all the very best, and we as a team are here to help you and to support you in all your way.
Absolutely important, absolutely critical, and I can tell you that CPR is not something, a basic skill that a lot of Indians have still been trained in, and it's something that could actually save a person's life. It's not the biggest rocket science on earth, but the effects that it could have in a person's life are absolutely tremendous. As we're seeing a breakout here, Jack, it seems like we now have a definitive leader.
Yeah, Immaculate Cole has broken away. Her and Lilian Kasate look to be right together in the early stages. They were absolutely neck and neck, nothing between them at the 5 kilometre mark. But now, as they come around this tight hairpin down at the bottom of turn at kilometre 6 by the lake, it looks as though Akol has broken away and is absolutely flying at the moment. Sanjeevani as well has quite a considerable lead over any of her rivals. I think it's still Tamsi Singh in that second spot, but considerably further back. This is very, very impressive from the 28-year-old. As she starts to move clear. You mentioned earlier it's coming back a little bit tighter though, isn't it? It's coming back to neck and neck in the women's elite. At 5.9 kilometres there was just 3 seconds between them. So Kasate dropped back for a moment, but now she is coming right back with Akol. At the moment, the two have got, well, just about 10 minutes to go in this race, I would have thought. The predicted finish times at the moment is going to be 29 minutes and 58 seconds, which would smash the event record by over 30 seconds. It wouldn't be quite as quick, as I say, as they managed in Valencia in the cooler conditions a couple of months ago in Spain, but it would break the event record. And as you say, it's an extra $8,000 in the elites for the event record. So those are the standings at the moment. Akol leading 3 seconds ahead of Lilian Kasate. Well, 3 seconds, you can see they're right together. And then it's some 20 seconds back to Abaresh Minsewo, who won the Tata Mumbai Marathon actually in January, but was 12th here last year. So is a little bit stronger over the further distances, I would say, Abaresh, the 23-year-old from Ethiopia. But these two Kenyans pushing each other all the way out at the front. And some of this course is quite shaded. There's such a big difference here in Bengaluru when it's hot, but you're in the shade, and it's hot, and then you're in the sun, right? And I know that's a fairly obvious thing to say, but the sun here is so powerful. As soon as you poke out from behind a building or between some trees, it gets really, really tough. Now, also, we're on the uphill section here. This is where we're on the narrow streets up through St. John's Road and that kind of area of the course, and it starts to get a bit uphill, and it starts to really burn. We're at 6.7 kilometres, so yeah, we're just about to start that uphill run, and that's where it could get really tough. A little check behind there from Lilian Kasate to see if anyone's coming with them, but no one is at the moment. Really strong performance from these two.
Yeah, if I could just say, Jack, just a little dig on where you come from. This is what the sun actually looks like. I know you're from the UK and sometimes you're starved for sunlight, which is why when you come here, I know you've been walking around in the sun, something that we Indians tend to avoid because we see so much of it.
Yesterday we were all like waiting to do rehearsals and things, and I was sitting out in the sun having a lovely time, and everyone's, come inside, what are you doing? You don't have to, I'm staying outside. This is great.
Yeah, by our standards, that's just absolutely crazy to be out in the sun. And that wasn't even the time that these ladies are racing. It's 7 o'clock right now, so it's still fairly comfortable. Jack was out in the sun at 2 p.m., which is absolutely manic, I know.
It was lovely.
Yeah, I understand. That's lovely for you. Like you mentioned, maybe not the loveliest conditions that these ladies would have liked to run in, but they're still putting on quite a show there. And I'll be one to admit that, when I've watched distance running, not with the thought of covering it, but now that I'm covering it, I'm a little surprised because I always thought there are momentary changes. But what we've just seen in the past couple of minutes, where we noticed a gap and we thought, all right, this is done and dusted, and then that changed within the next 30 seconds where they came neck and neck again. It's actually quite exciting.
Yeah, and now Kasate, if anything, is slightly ahead, but there's nothing between them. And just wait till you get to the sprint finish. As you can see, this is the uphill part that we are coming to now. Lilian Kasate on the right-hand side, Immaculate Akol on the left-hand side, as Akol now gets slightly back ahead. It's just incredibly tight between these two. Kasate finished second in the cross-country World Championships in Serbia at the end of March. And cross-country, as you might imagine, you have track running, which is around the big circle in the stadium. You've got road running like this, and then the cross-country is, as you would imagine, over mud and grass and fields and the like. And so there's a real, some athletes compete in them all, which is super impressive.
Yep, it is. And here we go.
So it looks as though Sanjeevani's been caught and passed there. Just try and work out by who as they come now onto this second part of the course. Oh no, sorry, my apologies. She's caught an elite. She's caught up with one of the elites. She's caught up with Gladys Kasia, the 31-year-old from Kenya, who was third in the 2015 Delhi half marathon. So that's how impressive Sanjeevani's run is going.
Yeah, that's incredible, because we were also trying to look at who seems to have overtaken her, but it looks like, I mean, at least what she's hoping in the next couple of minutes, they're coming obviously mighty close towards the end of the race as well, whether she can put in the last burst, and like you said, caught up with an athlete as they go over a little speed breaker, which at times can also be a little troubling to the focus they have. The turn right here, coming back towards the finish, they're going to have that U-turn again, of course. And Sanjeevani now, of course, there's a little gap coming in between these races again, Jack.
Yeah, but that'll give her a huge, excitement, I think, to be up there with the elite athletes as well, because Gladys Kasia, who is just in front of her, no slouch at all, 6th in the World Half Marathon Championships, although admittedly back in 2016, but a real proper elite athlete who's been running in China for the last couple of years. So this is really impressive from Sanjeevani, and I'm a little surprised that Tamsi Singh isn't a little closer. Right, what have we got going on in the elites? Kasate has now broken away, so it looked as though Akol was making the break before, but now in the last 10 or 20 seconds, it's Lilian Kasate, the 26-year-old Kenyan, who has pulled away quite substantially, you have to say. Obviously, the last time we took their timings at 7.5 kilometers, there was just a second between them, but that looks like it's maybe 5 or 6 seconds now as they come past the 8 kilometers. So just 2 kilometers to go, and this is really, really impressive from Lilian Kasate. She's aiming to qualify for Paris. When she was 10 years old, she lived 3 kilometers away from her school, so she had to run to it every day. And she ran to school, she ran back from school, and she was saying the other day that it was when she was 15 that she sort of really felt like she was actually really good at this, and she's proving her talent here. There's no doubt about that. 3rd in Valencia, as I say, and silver in the cross-country World Championships, bronze in the 2017 cross-country World Championships, but here on the roads of Bengaluru, she's having a very, very good run. We saw the projected times up there, and it's getting quite close with the event record. 30 minutes, 30 seconds is the predicted time at the moment, which would only be 5 seconds faster than Irene Cheptai's event record at the moment. But it looks as though Akol might have just run out of puff a little bit in the final couple of kilometers. We're back here on Cubbon Road. In a minute, Lilian is going to do another U-turn left, and that will be the final kilometer down towards the finish line. And this is a really, really strong run from the woman in the 101 bib, Lilian Kasate.
Incredibly, she was one of those athletes who at her press conference said, I don't think it's very hot here. She did a practice run and she said, I don't think it's very hot. And she seems to be living up to what she said. Lilian, of course, has pulled away massively, and has Sanjeevani in the Indian women. They seem to be running a race of their own with no competitors in sight in their bracket right now. Sanjeevani, of course, taking that ride, coming down to this road that you mentioned where they'll have to take a final U-turn and run down that stretch. And our pacers told us that that's where it's all going to unfold. It's a straight, which is obviously helps in terms of the times there. And once they hit that final straight, do you expect a little bit of an extra push from both of them?
I think once you're in that final straight and you can see the finish line, you want to do the best time possible. Especially both of these are aiming for event records, and both of these have a real strong chance of getting the event record. And you want that as a as a sports person for pride and to win, but also there's also the money incentive as well in terms of the prize money. So the final straights will be very, very interesting to see. I'm really surprised that Akol has dropped away like this. As you say, she missed that first day of training when she got here because, as she said, the Indian food is a little too spicy for her. Which,
not for you, though.
No, not for me, but I don't know. Maybe when she landed, someone gave her a masala dosa or something, and that was her first introduction. I haven't had a masala dosa yet, actually. I need to make a note of that. I got to have that.
Yeah, I can safely say that there's nothing wrong with the food. It's one of the best foods that you'll have. I love coming down to Bengaluru and getting a masala dosa and a filter coffee myself. But yeah, most of these athletes possibly aren't used to some of the levels of spice. I know, Jack, you enjoy that food. Immaculate didn't on her first day for whatever reason. We don't know exactly, but she did say she had a tough time, and it looks like it's come back to haunt her a little bit in this final stretch as Lilian Cassette powers down towards the final stretch. It's 28 minutes right now. We projected, like you said, just a couple of minutes more, 2.5 minutes more. So let's see what she can shave off it.
Yeah, she's into the final kilometre now. Akol is at the back and closing her in. And we will see if Lilian Cassette can beat the event record. At the moment, as I say, it's 30 minutes and 35 seconds. So that is the time that Cassette needs to beat. If she does beat it, she goes down in Bengaluru history as the event record holder. She gets an extra $6,000 in addition, an extra $8,000 in addition to the $26,000 that she will get for winning. And it looks as though she's got the margin on Immaculate Akol at the moment, and she is coming into form at just the perfect time, both in this final kilometre, but also ahead of the Paris Olympics in 2024. Really, really strong here from Lilian Cassette. As you can see, when she flashes in between those gaps in the trees and catches a blast of sun on her body, but she's in the final kilometre, and actually from here in the studio I can hear the cheers from outside, because I think she's just coming past our studio area sort of now, and this is a really, really immense performance from Lilian Cassette, but it's going to be really touch and go with the event record.
As we are hoping, for her sake, of course, and everyone supporting her, that she does get it. She's still turning around to see if there's anyone catching up on her. No, Lilian, there's no one in sight. I think even some of the camera crew have struggled to stay along with her. That's the kind of pace that she's maintained for the entire 10K. And she's coming back towards, of course, she's crossed the Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw Parade Ground where we are hosting this event, and now she's powering down towards that finish line, 30:35, the event record, as you can see on your screen. And she has about half a minute to power through and break it. She's been in the zone for the entire race. She's just pretty much run on that pace, and you can see her just put in that extra effort right now. Running in the shades, possibly that just helps her out minutely right now as they come in through the trees, and she's just going to go over the line. And you can see everyone cheering, and that's the effect you have. You know, you talk about the community, you talk about people turning up early in the morning. They're not here just to race. They're here to get inspired. They're here to support as well. They're here to get amazed.
Here she comes then. She's into the final 100 meters, 5 seconds to go. Is she going to make it? I don't think it's quite going to be an event record for Cassette. It looks as though Akol has closed the gap a little bit. She's going to win the 2024 TCS World 10K of Bengaluru. It's not going to be an event record. They looked like they were on pace for it. Maybe out of the blocks a little bit too quickly, Cassette and Akol, but it doesn't matter. Lilian Cassette comes across the line and wins the TCS World 10K in Bengaluru for 2024. An incredible run, a dominant display, and beating the favourite, Immaculate Akol, and that is what it has taken out of her in some 23, 24, 25 degree heat here in India. Akol across the line in second position. Who's going to be third? It's very, very tight for third spot. And I think Helu just got there. I think Lemlem Helu just managed to get across the line in time to seal that third position. But you can see the reactions of them all here. They are absolutely spent after that run. Cassette, the winner, an incredible performance, an incredible run. Her and Akol together that whole time. And
Yuri's there, is just trying to help them out. Of course, right now he's been close to them with all the athletes over there. Slight concern, maybe, but the athletes, of course, have had a lot taken out of them. As there's that warm embrace, the congratulations as well. She's probably having a little tough time forming some sentences right now after the effort she's put in. And the heat she's felt, she did mention that it possibly wasn't that much, but I think, Jack, she's felt it right now. As there's Sanjeevni coming in as the leader of the Indian women right now, and she's aiming for her best time as well. It's 32:28 right now as she is in her final stretch. It is a minute to go. Jack, you think she can do it? She can push herself?
Well, she's got, a minute to try and break her own event record. It looks as though she might be on course for it here. This is a very, very strong run from Sanjeevni. You can see the pain in her face as she comes towards these final few meters. 33 minutes and 38 seconds is the event record that she set back in 2018. As she comes towards the line now, it's going to be a really, really tight run and a tight finish, but she does look like she might be on course for it. There she is. 30 seconds to go. Looks maybe a little bit out of reach. It is so hot here in Bengaluru today that is going to be affecting the athletes. Even if they felt like it wouldn't, it is still going to be tough. Here she comes now towards the line. We've got 8 seconds to go, and I don't think she's going to break her own event record. She's getting applauded from every single side, but there goes the clock to 33:38. It isn't going to be a new event record, but it is going to be an incredibly impressive, dominant performance from Sanjeevni as she comes towards the line. The 28-year-old who has won here in Bengaluru before, has won the Tata Mumbai Marathon, has won the Delhi Half Marathon. She comes across the line to win the 2024 TCS World 10K Bengaluru for the Indian athletes. A remarkable performance, absolutely superb, and by a long, long way, it has to be said, a really, really impressive run. And that is Lily Das on the 162 bib coming across the line in second position. This is her first run, I think, in Bengaluru, and it's very, very impressive indeed. Then third across the line, it looked like it was Prinu Yadav who had a best before of 34.50, so she has just set a PB. But it is Sanjeevni Jadhav who wins in the Indian women class in the 2024 TCS World 10K of Bengaluru.
Kamsi Singh, of course, who was looking to recreate the magic that she had previously here in Bengaluru, unfortunately could not do that. As we're seeing Sanjeevni there, she seems to be in better spirits than some of the athletes who've crossed over the line and literally just fallen down trying to get the lungs full of air, and she ran quite a fantastic race. But here is Kasset. She herself broke out from her pack, a massive, massive lead over Immaculate Akal, comes over the line, was aiming for that event record. Unfortunately wasn't to be. Maybe that upward slope that comes back from Ulsur has a little bit to say about the timings at the finish. And of course, the first part of the race is relatively flat. It's towards the middle where it goes a little down, and then the reverse is upwards, which is what causes possibly a little addition in that time. The projected times, of course, are, when we started the race, were hinting that there's a chance that the event record could be broken. And there is Sanjeevni coming over the line as well, applauded by our international event ambassador on the right. You can see in the yellow, Dame Valerie Adams, and she makes everyone look small around her. Sanjeevni's possibly not that small, but Valerie's 6 feet 4 inches, which is why everyone around her seem to be a little small in stature. But in terms of stature, this woman has made everyone around her proud. Sanjeevni winning the TCS World 10K Bengaluru. And there are racers from the elite women as well. Lillian Kasset, of course. First, we had Immaculate Akal, and then we had a near photo finish for the third position as well, which I don't know how many times has been said in long distance running. We're taking a very short break here. Don't go anywhere. We continue our coverage on the other side of this break.
4 iconic clubs. 2 blockbuster semi-finals. Watch the UEFA Champions League semi-finals first leg live only on the Sony Sports Network. The UEFA Champions League is brought to you by FedEx and Lay's. UEFA Champions League sponsors.
My name is Cody Rhodes.
I'm numero uno, you know, the original king, I'm a sumo. No game, you old, I'm nouveau.
If you come at the king, you best not miss.
All hail to the king, I will not fall.
Watch WWE Backlash, Saturday night, 4th May, 9:30 p.m. Live only on the Sony Sports Network.
ये है जिहान, अपनी मुंबई का छोकरा. Jihan Daruwala, cheering up those tracks for Maserati MSG Racing.
Buckle up, fam, because the ride is just getting started.
Wonderful run across the line comes that provisional pole position.
Join me as I race in Berlin 11th May. Formula E, कहाँ दिखेगा? सिर्फ Sony Sports Network पर.
4 iconic clubs. 2 blockbuster semi-finals. Watch the UEFA Champions League semi-finals first leg live only on the Sony Sports Network. The UEFA Champions League is brought to you by FedEx and Lay's. UEFA Champions League sponsors.
Welcome back. We've just witnessed a fantastic finish to the elite women's race, nearly going for event records, but even if they didn't break those event records, they've given us a little boost of adrenaline, because watching the way it finished, Jack, was absolutely fantastic. We talk about the international elite athletes that ran this right now, the way they broke away, the way they made us believe that any of them could come ahead, and then, of course, Lilian Cassette just dominating towards that end.
Well, that's the thing. It always seems like it should be simple. If you want to do the 10 kilometers in a certain amount of time, you divide it by 10, and you see them all looking at their watches.
Yeah.
They know their pace they want to do, but it's can they do it? That's the huge difference. And there was a moment where Immaculate Akol looked like she had broken away, and then 10 seconds later, Lilian Cassette was right back with her. In the early stages, in fact, there was a whole group of 4 of them together. So the race got underway. Quite quickly, the elites and the Indians split into 2 groups. And then we ended up with sort of the 4 together as they came past the Vidana Sura. Then Lemlem Helu started to drop back. But this whole time, Akol was at the head of the field. And to me, it felt like she was running as favourite. It felt like she was stamping her authority on the race, because she got ahead of the pacemaker, disappeared up the road. Cassette came with her, but then coming through that uphill section after kilometre 7, Cassette just kicked into another gear, disappeared up the road, and Lilian Cassette, the 26-year-old from Kenya, came across the line to take the win in the TCS World 10K of Bengaluru for the women, and immediately collapsed to the ground because it was so difficult for her. Lemlem Helu finishing 1 second ahead of Abaresh Nsewo. Faith Chepkoech, who was up there in the early stages, finishing in 5th place ahead of Gladys Kamboka. The other, Faith Chepkoech, finishing in 7th place, and Rachel Chebet in 8th position. The Ugandan coming across the line a couple of minutes back from Lilian Cassette up at the front of the order. So yeah, really, really impressive from Lilian Cassette.
It's interesting. You mentioned Faith, then 5th and 7th position. They're different racers. In case you're reading the graphic and thinking maybe that's a mistake, it's not. There are 2 different racers, both Kenyan, of course, both with the same name, both finishing in different positions. Sanjeevani, well, she had a race of her own, if I may say this, because in the international elite women's, we saw, of course, Lilian and Immaculate, pushing each other. Sanjeevani was pretty much pushing herself throughout this entire race, and she was pushing for the event record, just couldn't get past it at the end, but a fantastic race and composure at the end.
Yeah, exactly. She had it all under control, didn't she? And then there were some real surprises. Lily Das coming across the line in second position. 35.08 was her previous personal best, so she completely smashed that. Prinu Yadav in third, Phulan Pal in fourth, Chavi Yadav in fifth. And a few of the big names that I thought we would see compete nearer the front. Tamsi Singh, for example. Ujala, who has a personal best of 33.04, wasn't able to compete up at the front as well. So Sanjeevani was the only one of the real favourites who managed to convert it into a result. But brilliant performance from, in particular, Lily Das and Prinu Yadav to come across the line in second and third, to finish on the podium, to get that prize money. That will be a really fantastic day for them.
Yep. Of course, we have the rest making up the pack, and there's a little bit of a surprise that Tamsi's name is not there on that graphic at all. So we'll try and find out what happened with regards to her not being able to break into the top 8 as well after the performance she gave us last time around. But just the race that we've witnessed so far, and it started with the Open 10K where we saw some great finishing as well. We watched the international women athletes putting in there, and the men are racing later. And, you know, they've seen them race. It's a difference of half an hour, 40 minutes. But you've said as well, you know, just that difference in weather sometimes can affect it. At times, we did see some of these international elite women struggling with the conditions.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I know that it's not going to be so hot that they can't finish the race, although it looked like it a little bit, but it isn't going to be necessarily their perfect conditions. As far as the men are concerned then, Peter Moynicki is going to be the favourite coming into this one just because he has the slightly better personal best than Bravin Kiptu, but he is going to be in the fight as well. Further back in the field, you've got the likes of Kibet and Diwa, Jemberu Cisse, he and Hagosiov from Ethiopia, both 18 and 17 respectively, making their debuts in the 10 kilometres. So it's going to be fascinating to see what they can do. We are ready to race. They're going to be getting underway in just about 50 seconds time. I was amazed, actually. One thing that amazed me is how late they woke up this morning.
Oh yeah.
They said they were going to be waking up about 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
That was later than me. I feel like when often you do other events, you know, people stay on different time zones and stuff. You can see Valerie Adams on the left-hand side, ready to get this elite men's race underway.
She's got her flag on her toothpick for her, of course, because the kind of weights that she lifted, and we'll try to get her to talk about it when she's here with us in the studio. And I was just flabbergasted with some of those numbers. But the racers are, of course, ready for this one. Like Jack said, he expected them possibly to wake up, I don't know, at 2, 3, get into a preparation warm-up. But some of these runners are just so comfortable with the conditions and their ability, and they're off. Valerie flags them off as the Indian men and the international elite men break through, going down that straight, of course. It's the initial kilometer, which is pretty straight, no gradient as well, past our studio. And we saw quite a start from the elite women in terms of the pace. And Jack, what did you make of this start?
Yeah, very, very quick off the marks, weren't they? We've got a much bigger field here. There were 11 elite women and 22 Indian women competing, so 33 in total. We've got 54 men in this race. It's a really, really impressive 9 elite athletes and 45 Indian athletes. Now, the tall gentleman at the front that you're seeing, that is Richard Duma. He's a 27-year-old Dutch runner. Now, he is the pacer here. We saw in the women's race, the pacer got cast aside quite quickly, to be honest. Quite soon, Immaculate Ecole was like, no, I'm doing this. I'm running this race. But Duma at the moment has the advantage with Kiptu coming right behind him. So we'll keep an eye on where Nikki feels and filters in all of this. But yeah, as I was saying, really surprised that they were going to get up at 4:30 in the morning, you know, bleary-eyed or whatever, and then start an elite competition. What, an hour, 2 hours later? I really thought they'd be getting up at 2 o'clock and warm-ups and, you know, making it so it was sort of a midday start. The men's prize money, the same as the women's prize money, $26,000 for the winner, and everybody gets a prize money. It goes down all the way down the order.
Yeah,
but,
pretty much like the women, the 5th position getting $4,000, the 4th position $5,000, and of course the winner $26,000, which converts to close to 22 lakh rupees. That's for the international elites, of course. And there's just a mini break right now. Like you mentioned, the pacer, the only male pacer at this event right now is in the international men's 10K race. Every other pacer is, of course, a female, and he's still setting the pace. He's warning them about the conditions. We just saw him, talk about one of those parking signs, and we saw a couple of racers who missed it actually and pretty much went over it. So hopefully no more distractions for them. Jack, just a refresher of this course.
Yeah, so they're coming down this start straight now at Cubburn Road with Cubburn Park on the left-hand side and the post office there as well. Then they turn left, come past the High Court, then a U-turn back past the Vidana Suda, and then another right-hand turn which leads them back out onto Cubburn Road again. That's the 3 kilometre mark. And then at the 4 kilometre mark, they turn left onto Main Guard Crossroad, and this is where the downhill starts. I know we've spoken about it many times, but it's more the uphill that's the issue. But the downhill starts here on these tight, twisty streets, all the way down to Ajanta Road at the bottom, with the lake on the right-hand side. Another U-turn here, so then the lake is on their left-hand side. This is still quite flat because it's by a lake, so it's flat. But then the climb starts again here at kilometre 7. Up through these tight, twisty streets. We saw a lot of challenges of, pedestrians around a little bit, and there's lots to keep an eye on, the speed humps that we saw as well. And then back out onto Cubburn Road, one more tight left-hander, then the final kilometre sprint, all the way down to the finish line, past the San Manekshore Parade Ground where the whole event is based. And that is the course map. And at the moment, I think we're just coming past the High Court building here on the right-hand side with Richard Duma, the pacer, still at the head at the moment. And then it is Bravin Kiptu in second. And there is Peter Mwanicki. He's in the bright orange shoes with the sort of black bib with the orange flashes. So he's the one to keep an eye on. He is the favourite. As far as the Indians are concerned, it looks as though it is Deepak who is leading the way at the moment. So it's very, very tight. No one's really made a break here, have they? These lot are all bunched right together.
Yep. Down that straight that you spoke about, going past the High Court, which will be coming in their way in a little time. But for now, we're seeing pretty much two groups still being intact for the international men's as well, and for the Indian men too. Pacemaker Dutchman obviously feeling a little bit of the heat already, but the runners don't seem to have a problem with it thus far, the Indian men as well. No one seems to be reaching out for water right now. It is getting warmer as the day progresses. Of course, the men are starting after a while compared to the women's start, so conditions will be slightly warmer this time around. We still haven't had a breakaway. Bravin Kiptu, like you mentioned, of course, seemed to be. He was like in a little bit of a lead there, right in front. A brilliant color to stand out amongst the group as well. His shoes matching his jersey. And he had something interesting to say, something we hear in India very often, Jack. He said, I used to have to run to school, used to have to run back. I used to have to run errands for my parents. My parents used to actually time me, as he seems to be just shifting a little away from the group to continue his run. And he said, any time that my parents used to give me, I used to always finish the task under 8. Now, the rest of the group obviously trying to join. As we've seen our pacer just go away, Jack.
Yep, so the pacemaker has departed. Now we are coming around that tight right-hand turn that takes them back up the other side and along past the Vidana Suda. Here come the Indian athletes through that right-hander. But as you say, it's fascinating the stories of so many of these Kenyan athletes and Ethiopian athletes, and from that Rift Valley, which is the Rift Valley runs basically from the Red Sea at Eritrea in sort of the northeast of Africa, right down through Kenya, right down through Ethiopia, and it's living at that altitude and growing up at that altitude that is part of why these runners are so strong, because it means when they come down and run at lower levels, the air is so thick, they can get so much oxygen into their system that they're so good at running. But it is also a nature of culture in terms of they live far away from things. It is 3 kilometers to school, and then you run home for lunch, and then you run to the supermarket, because everything's far away and the infrastructure is not there like it is in here in Bengaluru or in Delhi or in Mumbai. You don't have to run 3 kilometers to school because you just live at school. Whereas all of these athletes, since they were 5, 6 years old, were running miles to get to school and to get to the supermarket. So it's, there's so many elements that go into why East Africa is such a hotbed of talent. So Ndiwa is leading the way at the moment in the elite men's. Kibet Ndiwa, the 19-year-old Kenyan, he's got a best of 27 minutes and 45 seconds, so about 45 seconds slower than the best in the pack at the moment. He was 14th in the 5,000 meters in the Kenyan National Championships last summer in Nairobi, and this is his first real international event. So it's a very impressive performance early on from Ndiwa. But Pravin Kiptu's still there, Peter Moynicki's still there. There's a lot more strategy going on in this race than in the women's race. The women's race, Ankol and Kasate disappeared, off we go, can you catch us? No. Here, everybody is still keeping together for the time being.
Definitely, and they mentioned it that they would be pushing each other, and it seems like they're doing exactly that right now, 8 minutes into the race. And we are now going over to a very inspirational personality, a gold medalist at the Asian Games, a bronze medalist at the Commonwealth Games in 2002 as well. Here's Anju Bobby George joining us right now.
Well, a very warm welcome to Anju Bobby George. Ma'am, we've got the Olympics round the corner and the Indian athletes are getting faster each day. Your thoughts on that?
I'm extremely happy that 2024 Paris Olympics, we are expecting a lot from Indian athletes, and many events and many athletes are actually in the top, and they are preparing well, and we are expecting a good amount of medals. I'm not predicting anything now, but in most of the events we are expecting the medals, and all the top athletes are doing well, and the support from the ministry side and the government side, it's extremely nice to see that the support is going well, and I'm also a part. So the way how it's going, I know exactly. So we are just crossing our finger and waiting for the day.
I hope you have a great day, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining.
So back to the men's race, and we've still got this, pack of, what have we got, 6, 7 runners in there still. Pravin Kiptu on the left-hand side. Moynicki is alongside him, like I said before, in the orange shoes and the black and orange flashes as they are coming up to the 10-kilometer mark. Now, what are we at the moment then? At 2.5K, Pravin Kiptu came through there in 7 minutes and 7 seconds. So ahead of Kibet Ndiwa, Boki Derib is in there as well, as is Hagos Eop. So everybody very, very close and very much still together. They're at 3.5 kilometers on the course now. So we're coming back down Cubbon Road. They are soon going to be passing the start line and turning left and starting the descent downhill. You can see on the right-hand side there with Hillary on the bib. That is Hillary Chepkwony, and he finished 3rd in this race last season. Didn't quite manage to fight the top 2, so he's got a little bit of unfinished business in Bengaluru. He set his personal best this year in Valencia. As far as the Indians are concerned, they are still in a big pack as well, aren't they? With Deepak leading the way still. That's Deepak Bhatt in the number 58 bib. He's got a personal best time of 29 minutes and 33 seconds, which he set at the Army Intercommand Cross-Country Championships last year. And there is the Indian prize money again. The same as for the women.
The same. 2,75,000, of course, for whoever comes first. 2 lakhs for second, 1.5 lakhs for third, 1 lakh for who finishes fourth, and 75,000 for the runner who comes in fifth. And again, we must stress this for anyone who's joining our coverage. The richest race, the richest 10K, of course, is the TCS World 10K Bengaluru. And it's quite a massive incentive. And the stories that we keep hearing about, the inspirational stories that we keep hearing about, we'll come to that a little later in our show with the likes of Nana, how their upbringing, their start into life and where they are right now. And that incentive from everyone involved here at the race, that monetary incentive is so big, Jack, for all these athletes.
Yeah, it really is. And especially if they want to sort of continue and further their careers, that the more you earn from the prize money, the more you don't have to do a proper job, and the more you can dedicate to training, to being better, to becoming a stronger athlete. So it becomes a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy almost, or it becomes a cycle where the more you win, the more you have money to train more, to win more, and it goes on and on.
Yeah,
and on like that.
and I just hope no one who heard us gets offended by the fact that we said it's not a proper job. It's just when we talk about a conventional job, and you talk about just going to work and spending time there. And I'm pretty sure all these racers would just love to do what they are doing in the international men. We've seen Bravin Kittu just fall behind a little bit. He seemed to be setting the pace. There he is. And he's making a little bit of a comeback maybe. Seems to be varying his speeds along the course. And in the Indian men, like you mentioned, Deepak there, for now seems to be setting the pace, but isn't too far ahead. The following pack is right at his heels.
Yeah, it's really tight in both races at the moment, isn't it? Peter Mwaniki is the man who has got ahead on the right-hand side, just ahead of Hilary Chepkwani. But it's still anyone's race at the moment, and we are almost at we're probably just coming up to the halfway mark, both in terms of kilometres and in terms of time. Just a note on the weather. We've been talking about the heat and the heat and the heat. If you're not in Bengaluru, maybe you don't look at the Bengaluru weather forecasts, but it's 23 degrees this morning. By 11 o'clock this morning, it's going to be about 29 degrees, so that's in, a couple of hours' time. And then 4 o'clock this afternoon, it's going to be 36, 37 degrees. Like, it's a real heat wave in Bengaluru at the moment. That's why it's so kind of surprising that the heat is here, and that's why it's more of a challenge than maybe they would have anticipated.
Yeah, Jack, I don't think a lot of people here call it a heat wave. They just say it's a regular Sunday. But no, you're right. In previous years, of course, Bengaluru was a destination because of the weather. You mentioned the elevation a little while ago, 3,000 feet, which is why it used to be cooler than most developing cities. But as time has gone on, that temperature has gradually increased. And like you mentioned, 36, maybe a decade ago, for a lot of people, was still something that they didn't hear regularly in Bengaluru. Now in summertime, it is the kind of weather that you expect. Like you said, post-lunch, so that's still a long way up. Well, now, still under 30. For a lot of these Indian runners, though, it's conditions that they are definitely more familiar with than the international runners. And you mentioned a lot of these international athletes going to Europe, conditions which are ridiculously different in terms of humidity, in terms of high weather. But for these guys here, like I said, it's a Sunday morning.
Yeah, very true, very true. Here are the elites then. We've still got Peter Mwaniki in the middle, but it looks as though Bravin Kittu is coming back a little. He's the man in the bright...
Fluorescent,
that's the word. Yeah, the fluorescent coloured bib. But he and Mwaniki are right there, 13:57 at 5 kilometres. So at the moment, they are looking at going underneath 28 minutes. The event record for men is 27 minutes and 38 seconds, which was Nicholas Kimeli back in 2022. I'm not sure we're quite on for that at the moment, but there's still the win on the cards, and this is anyone's game, because so often in these races, it's when do you go? When do you push? Okay, you've sat around here and run with your compatriots, and it's all kind of going okay. But at what point do you really kick on? At the moment, they're just, I think, coming past the lake, the Ulsor Lake, one of the largest lakes in Bengaluru. They're at 5.6 kilometers. So, yeah, they're just coming past the lake, and then they'll do a sharp turn left. And then it's once we're past that lake and we're up to that 7-kilometer mark, that's when we will start to see the push. But already, you can see that lead group that was 7 or 8, it's down to 4 or 5 now.
Yep, it's thinning down right now as there's a little bit of a break from our front three. Peter Mwaniki, like you mentioned, Bravin Kittu as well, Hilary Chepkwani, taking a little bit of a gap from the runners behind them. It's a little different as well, because when you're running in a pack, I wonder mentally it must be so different. We saw Sanjeevani in the Indian women's race just running on her own, having to push herself. With these guys, maybe they get that little extra push watching the runners right next to them and thinking, oh wait, he's right here, I need to put in that extra stride.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so true, and it's the same. But it's interesting because you'll hear athletes describe it in different ways, right? Some of them are like, yeah, we all pushed each other forward. But then in the same breath, they'll say, I'm not focusing on anyone else. I'm just concentrating on, my own game and what I can control. It's one of those. That second one always feels like, it isn't true. It's
Yeah,
just something
I was
athletes
just
say.
going to say it possibly is, from an outsider point of view, one of the biggest misleads of sport, not just in distance running. You know, you hear that year in, year out in different sports as well, and you feel like it's possibly not the truest statement because what someone else, your competitor, is doing is bound to affect you a little bit.
Well, all these football clubs or football managers who say, oh, we're not looking at the league table, we're just taking it one match at a time. It's got to be a lie, right? They haven't looked at the league table. Manchester United don't know where they are in the league. Like, come on.
A lot of these racers, incidentally, are fans of some of the bigger clubs in England. Manchester United, one of the prominent ones. And I can tell you now, Jack, that they've looked at their competitors more than they've looked at Manchester United's position in the league table, because that's the kind of performance that Manchester United have been putting in, and it's quite different right now. The performance that these athletes are putting in, as Brown Crypto now looks like he's fallen to fourth.
Yeah, Peter Monique is starting to really pull away, isn't he, at the moment? Manchester United wish they had players who ran this much playing for them at the moment, but Peter Monique pulling clear. He finished third in that 10-kilometre race in Valencia in Spain a couple of months ago, and that was, he set 26 minutes and 59 seconds. That was his first run, less than 27 minutes, and he became only the 19th runner in the world in history to do a 10 kilometres in under 27 minutes. So he is an absolute machine out at the front, and now we are coming to the uphill part of the course, and Monique really looks like he is starting to stretch his legs out in the front and pull a bit of an advantage, because what, a minute, 2 minutes ago we said, oh, that group of 8 is down to a group of 5 or 4. Now they're not even a group. There's 4 of them there still. Yes, Kiptu's still there at the back, but they're very much line astern now. There's no more side by side. It's very much Monique, the 29-year-old, has hit the front. He finished second in the Bilbao half marathon last year. He's aiming to enter the 10,000 meters in Paris this year if he can qualify. And in terms of warm-up, they've been doing about 6-kilometre runs in their warm-ups. At about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning over the last couple of days, they've been getting out and doing a 6-kilometre run just to keep themselves in absolute perfect condition coming into this race, and a little check over the shoulder. And that's where with Monique, he's not just focusing on his own pace, because he keeps looking behind him.
Absolutely, and you did mention he did that jog on Saturday. He said, I just woke up, I'll go for a jog at 6:30 in the morning. And he would have realized himself that from 6:30 to 7:30 is quite a difference in the conditions. But he seemed like he was up for that uphill stretch that we spoke about. It was there where he seemed to be making his break, but then he seems to be now just being put under a little pressure, possibly gone past as well.
Yeah, Hilary Chepkwani has hit the front now. So as they came up the top of that uphill bit, they're now back out onto. No, we're not quite back onto Cubban Road just yet, but Hilary Chepkwani's at the front, and I tell you who's really impressive. In third place here is Hagos Eob, the 17-year-old Ethiopian, making his road running debut, and he's running in third place at the moment. This is absolutely remarkable. He's managed to drop Bravin Kiptu. We haven't seen much of Bravin Kipprop at all out there, but Hilary Chepkwani is at the front. But that third place runner there, you can see Eob on the bib, 17 years of age, making his debut in the 10K, and he's right in the fight at the moment. Whether he can keep going towards the end, we'll wait and see, but this is very, very impressive so far. So that's the situation in the elite men's, with 20 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock. In the Indians, now they are all still in one big pack, aren't they? Deepak is still out there in the lead of the race, but on the right-hand side you can see Harmanjot Singh. He's probably one of the favourites coming into this one. He was second last year, setting his personal best, but you've got Uttam Chand, who set a 29.09 before. He finished third last year. He's in this pack too, and we're still waiting for this pack to kind of spread out and give us an idea of who's actually in the lead of this one.
Yeah, because there seem to be about 8 or 9 of them just still running together, as opposed to what we saw in the international elite, where it seems to be now a 3-horse race, which seems to be thinning down to just 2 right now. You were mentioning the incredible Eob, of course. His effort pretty good, but seems to be just falling behind a little bit from the front two. Peter Nwaki has done an incredible job, and he continues to do so. Hilary, that you mentioned as well, putting in a little bit of an extra effort. But the Indian men, And this is getting interesting because we are now at the 22-minute mark, Jack, and the Indian men still haven't branched out into any sort of definite leaders.
No, they're all still right together. The event record for the Indian men is still set for 2015. In fact, Suresh Kumar did the event in 29 minutes and 49 seconds. So I'm not sure if we'll be getting close to that today. At the moment, Peter Mwaniki right with, well, at 7.5K, he was right with Hilary Chepkwani. But again, he's pulled away. But we've seen this a couple of times, haven't we, from Mwaniki in this race so far. He pulls away, and then Hilary Chepkwani just brings it back a little bit. Bravin Kiprop is down in 5th position then. Jimburo Cisse in 6th spot. He's another runner making his 10K debut. And then it was Boki Diriba, the 20-year-old Ethiopian, who is running in 8th spot at the moment. And there's the predicted finish time of 20:48. So at the current pace, it looks as though they'll miss out on the event record by about 10 seconds or so, as we are into very much the closing stages of this one, with only about 3 minutes to go. In fact, we're nearly into the final kilometre. When we get up and they do another sharp left on Cubbon Road, another U-turn, that will be the final kilometre. And now Peter Mwaniki feels like he's hitting his stride, doesn't he? It feels like he has comfortably dropped Hilary Chepkwani and Hagol Zial, but I'm really interested to see what happens with Hagol Zial, because this is his debut race, as I say, and he's 17 years old, and there's a lot of experience still to come for him, and maybe he will learn after this race. He went out a little bit too. If he still holds on to 3rd place, fantastic, incredible achievement. If all the more experienced runners end up catching up with him and he slips down to 6th, 7th, 8th, then he'll know and he'll learn that he went a bit too hard in that opening stint. But he's certainly been very impressive in the opening part of this run. Now, has anyone broken away in the Indians? That is going to be the big question. Okay, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, Kiran is the man who looks as though he's pulling away just a little up at the front, or at least is in the lead.
Deepak seems to want to have a conversation about that, right? On the left, he is running along. Kiran in the lead right now. So we have a pack of 4, which might just thin down to, I have a feeling, 2 or 3 in the next minute or so. But the 9 that we were seeing running together, now these 4 have staked their claim to be up front and go for the win in this one. Deepak still looks like he could put in a little bit of a push. Kiran seems to be maintaining a good rhythm going into this one. They seem to be pretty neck and neck right now. I cheered along, as you can see by the audience there, and should be interesting to watch come that stretch that we talk about, that pretty much looks like a finish. You mentioned earlier this race was inside a stadium, so whenever the finish is down the straight, you've covered a lot of motorsport, and the finish, more often than not, is down a straight where you see a sudden acceleration and you find out who actually just nicks it. And we might just see that in the Indian men, as the 4 of them, for now, seem to be neck and neck.
Yeah, so Kiran out in front is he's only 23 years of age. He's from Sangli, but he is quite experienced. He won gold at the 2023 Indian Grand Prix in the 10,000 meters. He was bronze in the Vedanta Half Marathon in Delhi last year as well. So he is a front runner, and he's proving it. But here is Peter Mwaniki on the right-hand side. The Indians still all right together. That's going to be a fight right to the finish, and one that I'm almost a bit nervous about, because I'm going to have to call it. Because when they all come across the line together, you're like, I've got no idea.
We already saw one of those for the 3rd position in the international women's race, of course, and it seems like it could go down to the wire in the Indian men's as well. But for the international men's 10K, for now, it seems like we have a definite winner with quite a lead. It's a little. Are you a little surprised as to the margin that we've seen him just make in the last 5 minutes?
Yeah, I really am. He's absolutely hit his stride here, hasn't he, Peter Mwaniki? As we said at the start, we were expecting this race to be incredibly, incredibly close. The current event record, by the way, 27 minutes, 38 seconds. So we've got about a minute before we hit that. So it's going to be tight, but I don't think we're quite going to get there. But as we said, their PBs coming into this race, Peter Mwaniki's PB, only 3 seconds faster than Bravin Kiptu, who was the chap in the fluorescent top that we saw earlier on. They were only 10, 15 seconds quicker than Bravin Kiprop. Hilary Chepkwony was there in the fight. He's looking for revenge after just missing out on the win last year in what was a really tight finish. But Peter Mwanicki has just demolished the whole field here. He's into the final straight, and it looks as though he is going to take the victory. He keeps checking over his shoulder.
Yeah, I was just looking at that, and I was just thinking, unless he thinks someone's really making a proper superhuman effort right at the end, he shouldn't be really nervous about it, but he just wants to make sure that this week he does it again.
Well, you can't take your eye off the ball, that's the thing. I mean, how many times, even people who don't watch athletics, when you're scrolling through social media or whatever, you see those times, those videos, those clips where people come from nowhere and win right at the back, or people think they've won and start cheering and then get overtaken right at the end.
Yeah, he doesn't want that to happen to him. He doesn't want to be a viral video for sure in terms of celebrating too early. He wants to make sure that this happens. Bravin Kipto, I think, is in 4th position. You can see his jersey in the back, his shoes as well. But Peter has done a fantastic job thus far in the race. And barring, knock on wood, barring anything untoward that happens in this last stretch, this is his.
So here comes Peter Mwanicki then. The event record is not going to fall today, but the 29-year-old Kenyan is going to win the TCS World 10K in Bengaluru for elite men. Delighted with that, isn't he? A really strong run. Absolutely demolished the opposition. A really, really strong field, but Peter Mwanicki has obliterated them and barely looks like he's broken a sweat. Here comes Hilary Chepkwony. Very, very strong performance from him. He's ranked 23rd in the world in men's road running, and he's done well. But here, for me, the star of the show, 3rd across the line for Hegas Eob. His first performance in a 10K, his debut, the 17-year-old, and he's come across the line in 3rd position. Absolutely remarkable from him. But it's Peter Mwanicki who takes the victory. We've still got the more to come. Here come the Indians, and it looks to me as though Kiran has pulled clear. Here comes Kiran Matra. It looks as though he's going to take the victory. He's got a few right behind him. Giriba's just coming through, and again, great to see these front-running Indians actually really quite close with the international elites. But keep your eye in the gentleman in the purple on the right-hand side. It looks as though he's starting to run out of a little bit of puff, and there are a few coming at him, but Kiran is going to hold on here and surely take the victory. Across the line he comes in 29 minutes and 30 seconds, and that is victory in the Indian elites for Kiran Matra in a fantastic, fantastic run. And that does take the Indian men event record, 29 minutes and 30 seconds. He smashes it by about 20 seconds. What a phenomenal performance that was from Kiran.
Absolutely incredible, because at one point of time we were talking about this race and it's taken a little bit out of him, and Deepak goes over to congratulate him. It's great to see the camaraderie between these two competitors, of course, pushing each other throughout that race, but Deepak celebrating with him as well. Bravin Kiprop did not have a race that he would want to boast about, but this man definitely did. You spoke about the record, the event record being created. We'll just get confirmation of that. A lot of incentive to do that, personal pride, passion, looking ahead at tournaments coming your way, but also the monetary aspect of that. And we'll find out and confirm if he's managed to overcome all of that and walk away from Bengaluru, the 10K Bengaluru, just with a bigger smile on his face. What an effort. And credit to see, after all that effort as well, from all these men, they look like they could run maybe 5K easy. Just
yeah. There you have confirmation then. First Indian man and new Indian event record. Really impressive performance from Kiran Matra. Has a little bit of a chat with Deepak. This was Peter Mwanicki then coming through across the line, and a really strong performance. He's hoping to be in the Olympics later on this year in Paris. As I mentioned earlier on, there's a big Kenyan Trials Day coming up in June where they'll pick their team ahead of the Olympic Games in the summer. And Peter Mwanicki has taken the win in the TCS World 10K Bengaluru. $26,000 on the way to him in the 16th running of the world's richest 10K. And he just had it under control, didn't he, from those last... Well, again, It was once they came up the hill, once they got to the top of the uphill steep bit between kilometers 7 and 8, he was gone.
Yep, he definitely, it almost seemed like there wasn't an uphill for him, or he planned it really well, because it seemed like that was the point where he started to break away. And then we have confirmation of not just who finished first in the Indian men, but also the man who broke the event record. Well done, Kiran Mathreya. What a powerful race towards the end. Ran along with a bunch of the racers for most of that race, but towards the end, showing that his training and class, of course, helping him get over the line, and a little extra push as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Four iconic clubs. Two blockbuster semi-finals. Watch the UEFA Champions League semi-finals first leg live only on the Sony Sports Network. The UEFA Champions League is brought to you by FedEx and Lay's. UEFA Champions League sponsors.
The WWE Draft continues with the mega return.
The U.S. champion, Logan Paul.
And a big-time champ.
Becky Lynch, your new women's world champion.
Watch WWE Raw live on Sony Sports Network.
Pantoja's a hunter, the best 125-pound fighter in the world. Steve Arceg.
This man is very well-rounded.
He can do it all at a world-class level.
The legendary king of Rio, Jose Aldo Jr. The man's an absolute living legend.
Jonathan Martinez, 6 wins in a row.
UFC live from Rio de Janeiro.
Watch UFC 301. Sunday, 5th May, 7:30 a.m. Live on Sony Sports Network.
Ronaldo, Neymar, Benzema, Mane, Mahrez, Neves, Gerrard, Firmino. भाई ये लिस्ट तो मेरे मोनोलॉग से भी लंबी है. And अभी भी, this is just the beginning of the next big thing in the world of football. रोशन Saudi Pro League, हर वीकेंड वो भी प्राइम टाइम पर.
One of Saudi Pro League's greatest ever games.
कहाँ दिखेगा? ब्रो अपने सोनी स्पोर्ट्स नेटवर्क पर.
And the international men and the Indian men giving us something to savor along the course of the 10K that they ran. We'll start off just talking about, again, what we witnessed. And while we witnessed it, of course, we run through the emotions a little bit. But when we sit back and look at what Peter Manvaki did, you know, it just seems to grow in terms of significance.
Yeah, he certainly does. He's very experienced. He's 29 years of age, but he's still getting better. You know, we see a lot of these people come in and set their PBs when they're 22, 23, and then maybe not push on as much as you would think. But Peter Moinicki set his PB this year in Valencia, just a couple of months ago. He's in a real good vein of form, and it would not be surprising if he makes the Kenyan team for the 10,000 meters for Paris later on this year. And he just dominated the field in a way that was really surprising. As we discussed, Bravin Kiptu was there at the start, was leading the way at the start, looked like it had it all under control, but he fell away quite early, didn't he? He wasn't even in that sort of top 3 for a while, so that was a real surprise. And I think it was Bravin Kiprop, actually, who finished only 16th, I think, in Valencia, where he said he arrived feeling like he had good preparation. He finished 5th today, Bravin Kiprop. He arrived in Valencia with good... And here, look, here's Kiptu. He's out at the front with the pacer in the early stages. He's not interested. He's just doing his own thing. And Diwa was in there as well. And this whole time, Peter Mwaniki was lurking. There he is there in second, third place. Where is he here? Yeah, he's about fourth here. Finally, he hits the front. Okay, but there's still a pack of 6. Boom. It's down to a pack of 4. And I bet you the next shot, there's only 3 of them. And he just then began to pull away. No, there's not even anyone in the next shot. There's not even anyone in the next shot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was the story of the race. He was lurking. He was the favourite. And when it mattered, came to the front, took the win.
Yeah, he seemed to take the conditions in his stride, and the celebration as well had enough strength to do a little bit of a high knees right at the end, which is one of the worst ways I feel to warm up, but that's his celebration there. And confirmation of the $26,000 that, of course, Peter Mwaniki wins with the time of 28 minutes and 15 seconds. Hilary Chepkwony finished second with 28 minutes and 33 seconds. And like Jack has been, if I may just use that word, gushing about Hakos Ayoub, the 17-year-old Ethiopian with 28 minutes and 39 seconds. Braven Kipto coming in fourth and Braven Kiprop in fifth. But just the top 3, and I start with who finished third, because I could see your eyes light up every time you spoke about him.
Well, I kept expecting him to drop back. You know, you wonder, okay, you're making your debut in the 10 kilometers. Are you doing that thing that we saw people doing in the Open 10K earlier on? You know, you go, oh, I'm going to run at the front, and you expend all your energy there, and then you drop back as the race goes on. But he just didn't. I kept expecting him to drop back. I kept thinking, right, well, in a minute, he's going to, the more experienced, the Kiptus and the Kiprops of this world are going to come through and swamp him, and that's fine. It's his first race, fine. He held on, finished in third place. Absolutely outstanding.
Yep, and well done to Hilary as well in that second position, because we saw that battle that you mentioned in that visual, the 4 of them running together. And I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the fact that we spoke to Braven, that we thought that it would be him, that he seemed very confident earlier in his press conference as well. But Hilary was the one who came ahead and then took that second position.
Well, I think it's a bit of both, right? I think that he came here looking to break the event record. Braven, this is. He came here looking to break the event record. His personal best is only 3 seconds slower than Peter Mwaniki's, who went on to win the race. So everything on the million sheets of paper that we have suggested that he was going to be the one to challenge the most, and he was there at the front, but not at the end. Now, this was a much more difficult race to judge, wasn't it? Because we had a group of 10 for kind of most of it, and a lot of the favourites, Harmanjot never quite hit the front. Sawan Bawal, who was one of the favourites, he won gold in the Tata Steel Calcutta 25K at the end of last year. Very much one of the favourites. We didn't really see him involved in this fight at all. It was all that fight between Deepak and, in the end, Kiran Matra, who came through to win.
Yep. As we see here, you're talking about that group, but there's the next shot. Thin down, went past an elite, international elite athlete as well, and Kiran with an event record this time around. So there's a prize money, of course, that he wins for coming first, which is 1,75,000, and he gets an additional 1 lakh rupees for breaking the event record. There you can see confirmation with ER written next to his time of 29 minutes and 32 seconds. Ranjit Kumar Patel did pretty well, actually, just 3 seconds behind him, because you were talking about the previous event record. Dharmendra 10 seconds behind in third position, but Ranjit would think, well, that wasn't a bad race at all in terms of timing.
Yeah, that's always the frustrating thing when someone sets the way. It happened to actually Immaculate Ankol in Valencia, where she finished second. She set the fastest time in the world, except one person beat her. Yeah. So she doesn't get the world record, even though she ran a world record time. So it's always frustrating when that happens. But that's also the first time that an event record has fallen here since 2022. There were no event records set last year, but Kiran has done it this year.
Yep, and it wasn't expected, because like you said, some of the favorites that we were talking about, I don't know if we've done him a bit of a disservice, because we never mentioned him. You were talking about Harmanjot in there.
Yep.
And we didn't talk about these two guys. When the race started, we were more focused on what Deepak was doing out there. And Kiran, towards the end, it almost seemed he had an extra set of wheels to get over the line.
Yeah, it was really remarkable and really impressive. And it's that, and that's the toughest thing about this sort of distance running is, in something like a marathon, because a marathon is so much longer, the race develops a lot slower. Whereas this kind of lower middle distance, it's about when you burst. It's about when you put the hammer down. Because these guys are doing, it takes you 2 hours to do a marathon, but it's only 25 minutes to run a 10 kilometers. So they're all in that pack together, these Indian men, and at some point one of them's got to go. And when one goes, the others have to try and go with them, and they don't know at that point whether they can, because that's the other thing, you just don't know how much you've got left in your legs.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure Kiran would have inspired quite a few people around him with that performance that he's put in, gotten an event record as well. And we have some more inspirational stories coming your way. I mentioned at the start of the show, Naina, Nimiksha, and we have Madhu, who's joining them right now, the IDFC First Bank journey to start Inspirational Heroes. Here they are.
Well, the discussions are on in the studio, Arpit. Here I am with the future stars of the country. Joining me are Nisha Sidi, Naina Kokare and Anish Mangalwarkar. And I'd like to ask them a few questions and try to ask them what's in store for all that they have in plan for their future. Nimisha, your eye has represented the country in the Indian colors, and you are taking part in this event today. Is it like a dream come true for both of you?
It's just the start of the dreams which I wish to achieve. And I'm really grateful to be at this platform at such a young age.
Well, good luck to all the endeavors that await you. Having said that, Naina, sunai pada कि हर बार जब आप hostel जाते हो आप रोते हो. So you're going to move to the US to train for the Asian Games. Are you going to miss them a lot?
Yeah, of course I'll miss them a lot because but there is a bigger goal which I have to reach, and these are small sacrifices, I would say, that one has to make. And people had made so many sacrifices bigger than this, and also my parents are so proud of me, I think. Yeah.
Well, proud all of us are. Having said that, Anish, सुना एक जुगाड़ है कि हर शाहरुख खान मूवी के लिए आप चलते हो इनके साथ. ये क्या है?
I think Shah Rukh Khan loves us. I would also request to Rocky sir, Kecha sir, and Nayanthara ma'am to send us tickets too.
Well, applications done. Good luck for all that ways ahead for the exams and all the games that lie. Thank you so much, Arpit. It's back to the studio.
Anish, Naina, and Nimiksha there in conversation, and they are inspirational athletes. Their stories will get you more from them in a little while. But all our attention now turns to the Majja run, which is obviously going to be coming our way, which is all about fun. And Jack, the interesting thing is, we were just talking about the history of this race and how road racing has developed, or long distance running has developed in India over the last 2 decades. And a lot of people used to turn up just for this initially, just to come, have fun, meet people, celebrate. And then with the development that we've seen, with the evolution that we've seen, a lot of people seem to be more competitive about it and go forth in the open 10K. But the Majja run is still something that every person in Bengaluru loves to celebrate. There is Valerie Adams, our international event ambassador, who's, again, I have to say this, dwarfing everyone around her. And they're off, everyone running in the Majja run for some fun, absolute fun. We'll see some interesting outfits there as well. And there's a burst, it's almost like a finish of the 100 meters, which Jack will tell you is possibly not the smartest way to go about it. I think some of them ran faster than what our elite athletes were running for the distance of 10 meters. But after 10 meters, I think it's going to be a little slower than that. But this one is not so much about breaking event, because this one is not so much about being so serious-faced and going out there and trying to just do better than who's next to you. It's about celebrating with everyone who is next to you, the community spirit that comes in as well, the smiles on the faces, and I'm pretty sure in a little while, a few outfits as well, a few interesting outfits. I know it's been an inspiration from events around the world, Jack, but now this race, the fastest 10K, has an identity of its own, and all these participants here in that Majja run, which is about 2.6 kilometers, are just out here to have fun. And everyone watching, not just the ones running, Jack, are just going to do exactly that, have a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said before, we started off the day with the open 10K at 5:10 this morning, which is for, your kind of not serious runners exactly, but proper runners. In fact, some of the fastest times in that open 10K were really impressive. 32 minutes, which was really good. And this, though, is just, to get people out, to get people, you know, off the sofa and out from in front of the television and go out and do some exercise and have fun and learn what fun running can be.
Early in the morning as well, let me just say that. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, it's still only just gone 8 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really fantastic, and it's just great to see so many groups of people coming together to do it, and just the fun element that brings the community and the city together. I think that's the most special thing for me. And obviously it does happen in, you know, a lot of places around the world, but the Majja run here is just, everybody's smiling when they're doing it, you know. Every single one is doing it, and there's all sorts of crazy characters down there.
Yep, incredible, and thank you so much, Bengaluru, for turning up in such huge numbers. And we'll go down to Madhu, who is with one of the participants, I think, right now in the Majja run.
Shame we can't hear from Madhu.
Yeah, we'll just try to fix that. We'll try to fix that. I think there's a slight issue in terms of the audio there, but don't worry, we'll fix that in a minute. And I think the lady with her was in a sari, and I mentioned this yesterday as well. You know, women in saris are complete inspiration. They can do just about anything. I have a little story about climbing down one of the toughest treks that I had to do in my life, and I was a little scared to do it. Yeah. And that inspiration came when I saw ladies in saris just waltzing down and not caring too much about it. And I said, well, if they can do it, I should be able to do it as well. So we have some of them running in some fancy outfits as well, a traditional outfit. Madhu, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Amongst all the buzz, of course, I did had a trip down on the wire. I apologize, Arpit, but the fun run is on, and I have a beautifully dressed lady here who's taking part in the Majja run in a desi sari. Ma'am, can you tell me what was the idea behind taking part in a marathon, the Majja run with the sari?
Namaskara Bengaluru, Nan Soumya Hosmane. Nannan gottirorgeಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತು ನನಗೆ ಸಾರಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಇಷ್ಟ. I'm running for myself and my love for my sari.
Well, I mean, a lot of them actually have an apprehension that is not really comfortable, but
no, it's all a mindset. People have worked, women have worked in all the fields, so it's all in the mindset. Once you're practicing, it's all comfortable for you.
Well, you seem to be a pro, and we are certainly going to take some inspiration. Great running. Yeah, there we go. Arpit, I'm going to bring you many more such stories. We have people dressed up very, very colorfully, and I'm expecting some theme-based runners too. I'll get back to you with all of it.
Thank you so much, Madhu. I actually don't blame anyone for those audio problems. You saw how many people walked past them while they were trying to have a conversation. Just look at this, the numbers that have turned out for this race, the Majja run. It's so endearing to watch a city turn up early in the morning. And again, I would like to credit the metro services that started early in the morning so that people could make their way here. I know there are logistics of registrations, coming here, finding your space, being a part of the start, and look at how it looks. You know, we brought a football reference. I hope, Jack, you don't mind this, but you know, a lot of people make comparisons to City's treble winning celebrations parade. It looks like there are more people there.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I mentioned it at the start of the show, but that was obviously forever ago now, so people will have forgotten that I said it. But it's the fact that we've just finished a world-class sporting event. About, 20 minutes ago. A world-class... Okay. We'll go back to Madhu then, shall we?
All right, Jack, sorry to interrupt you. But
No, it's fine. This is going to be better.
Madhu is with us again. Go on, Madhu.
Thank you, Jack and Arpit. We already have a few colorful athletes who've passed by. I'll try to catch up with them later. But I have a gentleman here with me, all enthusiastic, and said he wanted to say hello. So is this your first Majja run?
First Majja run.
Are you actually having Majja?
Just now I'm having Majja now. So we'll do that Majja in run.
Well, I mean, you're doing it for the first time. Do you have a target in mind that you want to finish it in, say, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes?
40 minutes, around before 40.
All right, he says he'll try to do it in less than 40 minutes. Nevertheless, good luck. There we go. All right, many of them first timers, many of them repeated participants at the Majja run. I'll do come back.
Yeah, so Jack, I'm just going to apologize to you because I don't want Madhu to run along and try to talk to these guys once they pass us. So at times when she's able to get a hold of one of these competitors, we'll just have to go down and talk to her because it's so much fun to watch these people.
Yeah.
Like she said, you know, the first time this gentleman is racing, he said he wants to do it in under 40. This is 2.6 kilometers, of course. It's not a 10K, so if you heard 20 minutes, don't be surprised that, whoa, the elite men ran in 27. This guy's going to do it in 20. And there's a lot that goes on in the background, including so many causes. Madhu, back to you.
Work on expressions also.
Well, this is what we call the vibrancy of Karnataka. I have a man who's beautifully dressed in the Yakshagana costume. That's very unique to the coastal part of Karnataka. Sir, namaskara.
Namaskara. I'm representing the whole of India and the special state called God's own country. And God's own country gives you the attire of this Kuchipudi. That is why I've come in the Kuchipudi form to bless the nation and to praise the Prime Minister to continue his 5-year tenure.
Well, that aside, sir, this is certainly a colorful costume that you have. Can we have an application put in for some rain as well? It's too hot in Bengaluru.
We have to bear every kind of weather. They say, "Poore hai wo mard jo har haal mein khush hain."
Wow, he has a few taglines as well ready. Well, sir, the run is all yours.
Yeah, I am the part of the run and I am going to be participating.
All right, sir. Can we have a few dance moves? Well, there we go. We'll have many more such interviews coming your way. The number of the participants is on a peak and we hear it's a record-breaking season, Arpit. If you could tell us a little more about that from the studios.
It's incredible what we're watching there. Thank you so much, Madhu. The gentleman has put in, wow, Jack, we were talking about waking up at 3 a.m., putting a jersey and tracks and shoes on and coming here. Look at him. He's probably woken a long time before to make that effort.
I can't imagine how long that took. My favorite part of that was Madhu saying, right, start the run. He doesn't want to start the run. He wants to stand there on television all morning, doesn't he? So,
well, deserves to be as well, because there are not many people dressed like that, as you can see. Of course, we have a run in costume contest that will go on as well, where the first prize is a cash prize of 25,000 rupees. The second prize is 15,000 and the third is 10,000. But it's not only about having fun. It's not only about winning those prizes. There are a lot of causes that are supported by runners, institutions as well, and they come out, as you can see, with the banners here. And there's so much to talk about in this race, and we're very happy because most of this work now is being done by Madhu. It's back to you, Madhu.
Yeah.
Arpit, I'm bringing in a lot of color stories, but at the same time, let's not forget that this run is also about raising funds, and I have one such individual who represents an NGO that does contribute a lot in ensuring that society is a better place for everybody and for equality. So if you could tell us a little more about how your NGO and you are dedicated towards the cause of a better society.
Hey, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be a part of the TCS 10K in Bangalore. We've been with you since the day one, since the first race, and it's been an amazing experience. We raise funds for children, we raise funds for women, we raise funds for emergency relief, and last but not the least, we raise funds for everybody who is in need of medical care. So this time we're raising funds to conduct medical camps across the country.
All right, that's a great initiative, sir. Thank you so much for your time and all the best for the Majja Run. The Majja Run is what we call it. We have had a few chats, and right in front of me, behind the camera, is a very colorful woman who seems to be dressed up for a cause, and I'd like to ask her what it is. It says, save nature to save the future, and it is a task to dress up this way, but she's making her cause very, very vocal and visual for all of us to see. Hi, first question. How long did it take for you to get ready?
Okay, so I am up since 3 a.m. today, and since then I have been getting ready on this. It took me nearly 2 weeks to gather all the material. Everything I'm wearing is completely organic, right from flowers. Even flowers are made from the cocoons, agricultural cocoons. Right from the snail shell to every single thing I'm wearing is all eco-friendly. So I am a PhD scholar working on urban ecology, and I'm doing this for a cause, especially taking into consideration the heat in Bangalore, which is the effect of deforestation. As you are destructing nature, this is what we are facing. So this is a cause I'm walking for.
Well, we're very glad to have participants like you, and may this be also an inspiration for many others to preserve nature and conserve nature. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Well, that done, we now have many more stories that will come there. But Arpit, I know there's a lot more chat back in the studio that's pending, so I'll hand it over back to you.
Thank you so much, Madhu. It's incredible what we just saw. And Jack, we spoke about it because, you know, we were talking about the temperatures. We were talking about the last decade or 2 decades where the temperature has gone on a little bit. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a PhD like her, so I can't really offer too much in terms of what I think is logical. But there is a consensus that if you are going to destroy nature, I mean, for whatever reason, in some ways it is going to come back and haunt you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, that there is a climate crisis going on at the moment, and it's always a really, you know, worthy cause. And I know that this event has tried to do its part for that, right? Everybody's encouraged to bring reusable water bottles, and so there's less discarded plastic, and all those sorts of things are hugely important to the TCS World 10K. And it's great to see that sort of I think this is my favorite thing about the Majja Run, is this sort of passion about these projects is what we need. Whether it's passion about these charities, or whether it's passion about the environment, whatever it is.
Yep. Incredible stories coming our way, and we have more now. Madhu is with another participant in the Majja Run.
Well, we call ourselves of a country that is very proud of unity in diversity, and I have a lady who's dressed up as Mother India, and she has a special message for all of us, ma'am. And could you let us know what that is?
Yes, so this is a Kerala sari, which is from the South India. So this is known for it, the color and the texture. I bought it from the Kerala Emporium, and I wore it in the Gujarati or the Rajasthani style. That is the North India style. So this, from a simple sari, I wanted to give a message that, you know, we are all one. So I'm a Kannadiga. Adike nanna hane mele Kannadada baavuta ide. So that is the Karnataka flag on my forehead, and we are all one, and I have a flag of India in my hand. Apart from that, this is the Panchabhutas which I've worn. So the 5 elements. So now what we are in Bangalore or wherever we are, so we have to respect our 5 elemental energies. That is when it will protect us, or else we should respect it. You know, it will force us to respect it. So yeah.
Well, elements of nature, and with due respects, thank you so much for your time, ma'am. Have a great day. Stories like this many, and the Majja Run continues.
Thank you so much for that, Madhu. And just a confirmation, because we're talking about nature, I must mention the efforts that the organizers here of the race have also made. You already mentioned, you know, people are encouraged to bring their own water bottles so that they don't use too much plastic. Cycling to the venue was encouraged. Yeah. Waste paper bags this time around were made from materials that were used in the race for marketing, and, you know, any plastics that they used back then, the waste paper bags were made right now. And she mentioned Karnataka there and the unity with India, and that's where we're going to go right now, because we have a Karnataka-based organization that's been doing some tremendous work finding athletes, especially from rural areas. Here are Bridges of Sport.
I'm Nitish, founder of Bridges of Sports Foundation. So I started this organization in 2016. A simple idea of how we can provide opportunities for children who come from rural and remote communities to excel in sports, and not just a chance to play sports, but to become the best version of themselves in whichever sport they might choose. And it's been 7 years, and I think we have identified certain communities, and we're working very closely with them. The northern Karnataka belt, where the tribal communities here, their ability in sprinting or sprint-based sports was really high. And that was one of the most important aspects of why we choose this particular region, and why we know that there is a lot of potential and they can be a catalyst to take Indian sprinting forward across the world. So one of the most important aspects of our model was to make it a community-driven initiative, where community is the biggest stakeholder in this whole process, from identifying and developing athletes. And because we believe that gives community the agency that in the future they can sustain their future, sustain their livelihood on their own, and they're not dependent on organizations outside the community to help them have a better life, to help them give opportunities to chase their dreams. Nothing stopping us from reaching those goals or breaking those barriers. And it really just takes one person to break these barriers, and then you'll see a lot of athletes, following the path and taking Indian athletics to the elite level.
Absolutely critical work that they are doing, of course. And in terms of finding these little jewels, we spoke about the fact, and we've mentioned this, you've heard this over the course of the last 3 days, oftentimes there are people in these villages, in areas who are doing something that is sport related and not even knowing it.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing that these sort of foundations exist, because it helps the equality in sports across the country.
Absolutely does, and a tremendous job done by them. So thank you so much, Bridges of Sports. We're taking another short break here. Don't go anywhere. This is arguably one of the best parts of our show. On the other side, we are joined by our international event ambassador, Valerie Adams, and that's just a couple of minutes away. Phones on silent, please.
Four iconic clubs. Two blockbuster semi-finals. Watch the UEFA Champions League semi-finals first leg live only on the Sony Sports Network. The UEFA Champions League is brought to you by FedEx and Lay's. UEFA Champions League sponsors.
My name is Cody Rhodes.
I'm numero uno, the original king. I'm a sumo. No game, you old, I'm nouveau.
If you come at the king, you best not miss.
All hail to the king, I will not fall.
Watch WWE Backlash, Saturday night, 4th May, 9:30 p.m. Live only on the Sony Sports Network.
I don't know what can happen in the future, but I'm gonna keep fighting to try to keep going.
No, I'm not a king. I'm the king.
Can this game, Bridges?
Right at the end of added time.
And so there will be more.
Get ready for the biggest football party of the season, Euro 2024. Starts 14th of June only on the Sony Sports Network.
Four iconic clubs. Two blockbuster semi-finals. Watch the UEFA Champions League semi-finals first leg live only on the Sony Sports Network.
I don't know what can happen in the future, but I'm gonna keep fighting to try to keep going.
No, I'm not a king. I'm the king.
Four iconic clubs. Two blockbuster semi-finals. Watch the UEFA Champions League semi-finals first leg live only on the Sony Sports Network. The UEFA Champions League is brought to you by FedEx and Lay's. UEFA Champions League sponsors.
Welcome back. Before the break, I mentioned that arguably one of the best parts of our show is coming now. And I don't want to be offensive to Jack, but I think now onwards is the best time that I'm going to have in the studio, because we are joined by our international event ambassador, Dame Valerie Adams. Valerie, a very warm welcome to you. It's good that we had a little bit of a break so that I could completely gush over you. Thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for joining us right now. Before I get into the questions that I want to ask about you and your life, just how has the atmosphere been? Because you said it was tough to pry you away from what you were witnessing into our studio.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yes, they did have. So they came and asked me the first time, and then they went away and came back the second time, and then came back with like more four. So 3 people come to ask me. You know, honestly, it's such a party out there. The atmosphere is fantastic. It's vibrant. It's colourful. Everybody's so excited. So nobody on the stage was really kind of bouncing around like a lunatic, apart from myself. But I was in it to win it, and the crowd were connecting with me. So it was totally fun.
Yeah, it certainly looked like it was, especially the spirit of that Majja run that just started now. Like that seemed one of the most special events, because you know the men running off, you know, and the women in the elite athletes. That's just elite sport. You know what that's like. Everybody's focused, and you're there to do the job. But the Majja run, just everyone's loving life.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think they're there for their own reasons, personal, whether it's, you know, to get, raise money for a charity or something like that, or for their own selves. You can see the smiles on their faces, the whole community coming together to achieve something. Crossing that finish line is their ultimate goal. But honestly, it's a massive party, and then some people in their costumes, oh my gosh, one of them had like depression and like kind of showing the depression away, and like just everything was so magical. I really want to go back there, so can we hurry this up?
We'll just keep you for a little while. And I also realized that if we want to talk about everything that we actually want to talk about you and your life, we might have to do a 6-hour show, which we're not going to get into. Just quickly, because you mentioned to us as well, you know, it's been so busy for you over the last couple of days. It's a big day today. You're celebrating as well. Tomorrow is a big day for you personally as well. Your son, I hear, is going to school. Have you been getting calls? Mommy, why are you so busy?
No, so yeah, tomorrow my son starts primary school, so he turned 5 last term, and then tomorrow is the first day of school for us. So it is a big day that I am missing. However, you know, he's got a massive village around him who's going to make it such a special day for him. And it is big, but I'm just so happy and honoured to be here, to be an international ambassador for the TCS 10K World Gold Label event. And honestly, this is the best party ever, and the best running event I've ever been to. I'm not a real runner, as you can tell. I'm a very voluptuous and Polynesian strong woman, but to be a part of this event is absolutely phenomenal.
Which is why we got you to sit down and not stand here next to us. Go on, Jack.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your role as the international event ambassador. What does that mean? What does it mean to you to be here in that role?
It's actually, like, for me personally, I think it's just connecting with the crowd, community, telling stories, bringing them in, inspiring the whole event, kind of drawing attention to the event. We got to celebrate the fact that this is the 16th edition, right? Celebrate the fact that there is 30,000 runners. It's growing and growing and growing, and then like there's more females involved as well, and all our pacemakers are females. That is a step in the right direction. So we're so excited about the whole event. I had the opportunity to go down to the local athletics club, and obviously your champion, your South Asian shot put champion. It's been a phenomenal 4 days. Tonight I unfortunately go home, but all good things must come to an end.
Was there anyone who came up to you and said, let me show you how the shot put is thrown? Was there anyone who tried to challenge you? Apart from Tajinder.
Hey, listen, do you really think anyone would ask me that?
No, I'm not. I'm just wondering.
Well, nobody's really asked me for an arm wrestle yet, so I'm kind of waiting for that.
I was just going to tell you, this was going to be my final question. I don't know, did someone tell her? Because I was going to say, how much time would it take for you to beat Jack at arm wrestling?
Well, I don't think, look at this!
You can't
what is that? What is that?
Oh, yeah, look at that. I mean, if you could just go on, Val, just flex it once more. We're on your close camera. Can you just show her? There you go.
There you go.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's absolutely incredible what you've done. And, you know, talking about your personal life, like I said, we don't have, because I would love to talk to you about it all, but we mentioned right at the start of the show, you know, we said twice Olympic gold medalist. You mentioned that the bronze at Tokyo 2020, and I was fortunate enough to cover the Olympics 2020. And you said it was a very special medal for you, and you described your journey from where you went post your pregnancy and how everything went wrong and you just overcame it. How crucial is that as a story, as an inspiration for women in sport? Because, you know, oftentimes I listened to that story and I said, I would have given up.
Yeah. Most would have given up, to be brutally honest. From the last Olympics in Rio up to Tokyo, in that space of time, I'd had 2 children, not just 1, 2 kids. And the journey was intense. And yes, most normal people would have just given up. But I was so driven, and my drive and my passion for my sport was just so intense that it was part of my recovery, actually, part of my recovery. So today I carry scars of a survivor. Today I carry scars of having my beautiful son be with us. But for me, it is crucial to be that inspiration for the next generation coming through, especially for women, especially for female athletes who want to have a child. They can actually step away, have a child, and come back to being an elite athlete if that's what they want to do. We just need to be able to give them the space and to help them navigate that space. Not everybody's going to make it, but give them the chance to decide what they want to do and not somebody else decide for them. So today I happily carry my children on my elbows and my wrist, because it's such a special moment for me. But again, for me, it's using my platform to be that inspiration to all females around the world, but in particular my community in Polynesia.
Yeah, and I mean, you obviously say that because of what happened before Tokyo 2020, but you're an inspiration to everyone. I heard you when you were talking that day on that event, and Jack and I were sitting next to each other. And I think for most of the time we were just open mouth listening to your stories, and a lot of it isn't on Wikipedia, we know.
No.
You really have to delve into the internet to get those stories out. You have a documentary as well, which both of us have said, and everyone who's watching should go and watch in terms of that inspiration. We'll come to a little lighter side of things. You have a Barbie doll that is made after you, so just talk to us about it.
Well, yes, so they, so Mantel wanted to make a Barbie of me, and growing up, I never really had a Barbie that looked like me, a more voluptuous Polynesian woman of colour.
And big biceps.
Big biceps, with the whole hair, the bum, the bun, and everything. So an athletic one. So when they approached me to make this Barbie, it was amazing to have a Barbie that was my own. So I hope to give that to my daughter one day. And this is, not everybody looks like the normal Barbie as we see.
Yep, absolutely. We're seeing some incredible stories here as well. Champions with disability who are racing, and it's incredible because there's lots of people who look at a 10K or a 5K or a 2.6K and think, well, I have a few excuses not to do this. And then there are these champions and the silvers as well, the seniors who are going to be racing, and you see so many of them in their wheelchairs as well. And when you look at this, Valerie, it's incredible. It's people who you wouldn't think would be out there at a race, just coming up and showing the support and participating.
It's just amazing, working in the para space really gave me a lot of respect for these athletes. These people, these athletes have the ability to do anything. So the fact that this 10K, doesn't matter, where you at endurance-wise or anything like that, fitness-wise, start at the start line and finish the race. It might take you like an hour, 2 hours, it doesn't matter. You are there. You're doing better than everybody else who's at home. So this is incredible for me, and mad respect after spending so much time in the para space. My sister is also a Paralympic champion, so having to modify things for her and seeing everybody's disability, but not letting it kind of define themselves or limit themselves. So it's very special. But seeing these shots right here is absolutely phenomenal. I want to go back out there and party. Just saying.
Yeah, I can understand, and it has been that kind of party, as Valerie has told us a couple of times already, and inspirational stories, and we're going to continue in that vein. Interestingly, Valerie, we'll come back to you and your journey as well, but we're going to show you and our viewers one inspirational story as like this. We've mentioned it a couple of times on our show. Here is the IDFC First Bank Journey to the Start.
Dhangar, a herding clan from Maharashtra, now settled in Uttarakhand. For centuries, they have remained untraceable. For centuries, none had ever set foot beyond that familiar timber fence. A familiar fate awaited Naina: basic schooling, an intra-community marriage, and life as a homemaker. Recognizing the gifted athlete that she was, her father had to make the tough choice. To let her pursue sport, risk social stigma, and break the cycle. In just 4 years, Naina has gone from a shy teenager from an unknown village to an Asian Championships medalist.
We partnered with an organization called Altis based in the US, who have worked with coaches and athletes who have won more than 50 Olympic medals in the past 3 decades. And for the first time, they have selected 2 athletes from India, Naina and Nimiksha, who will be going to US in the coming months to train full time towards the goal of Asian Games and Olympics over the next few Olympic cycles.
As the Dangar girl prepares to take on the Asian Games in 2026, today's pit stop is at Bengaluru, proving that every journey to the start line begins with that one decision: to take the first step into the unfamiliar.
Naina Kokre there, and her journey from where she was. And this is where, Valerie, I want to bring you in, because a lot of people who are watching, who are obviously listening to you, you're from New Zealand, and the basic assumption for a lot of viewers would be, well, you were in New Zealand, you got your facilities, you know, New Zealand is so much better. What you've seen there in that video, I think you connect a lot with that. The fact that, you know, she had no means, the social stigma associated with a girl from that community going and performing. You've endured some of that yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, sometimes we, you know, athletes of today want the best of the best, but that doesn't necessarily make you a great athlete. I grew up training in a car park, and when there was a rugby game, we got kicked out of the car park, but that didn't stop me from going to training or find an alternative. Yeah. The fact that this young athlete is doing whatever she can to be the best gives you a lot of hope that, you know, her future is looking really bright, and the fact that she's got a scholarship to go overseas, even better. She obviously wants it that badly. So for me, growing up and not having things handed to me, I had to work a little bit harder, but it's because I wanted it. And if you want it that much, you will actually go out and get it. Sometimes we have a tendency right now, or today, to actually hand things out a little bit more easier and not make them work for it. So, I mean, is that good or bad? No, it does help them, but equally, we got to earn our stripes. We got to totally earn our stripes. But I'm very grateful for my upbringing where I started, because everything that has come to me afterwards, I appreciate and I'm so grateful for.
Okay. Before we move on to our next athlete, and because everyone has not had an idea as much as we have about your stories, and forgive me if I just say this, not having the facilities, the environment that you grew up, not supporting women so much to perform. Your mom obviously did, and unfortunately she passed away, and then you got the inspiration. Being told to get away from home after your mom passed away, training in the car park, these are just highlights that I'm mentioning from her life. So she's not had it easy, but she's made it look easy because she's been so dedicated and focused. And we're hoping the same for our next athlete, Nisha Sidi.
The final of the women's 100 meters hurdles. A stunning performance by Kamla Sidi. She takes bronze and sets the Indian women's national record at the event. What an incredible find from India. Here come the Sidis. The year was 1989. The Special Area Games Initiative helped identify sporting talent from India's tribal belts. One such community that grabbed the nation's attention were the Sidis, an ethnic minority of Indian citizens of African origin. The perfect script would have witnessed the Sidi prodigy Kamla go on to represent India at the Atlanta Olympics, inspire the Sidis higher, and flip the narrative of India's Olympic story. But one life-changing blow altered this trajectory forever. A story that remained untold, a legacy that remained unfulfilled. But now, close to 3 decades later, another Sidi targets the dizzying heights in the 100 meters, much like Kamla, none other than her very own daughter, Nimiksha. Despite her family's sporting legacy, circumstances forced Nimiksha to start from scratch. And thanks to the right guidance at the right time, she is back on the road for a job unfinished. The music travels through the jungle once again. The legend of the Sidis heralds the rise of a new champion. Today at the TCS World 10K, she joins a million others out on a quest to find their own redemption journey. In lane 1 on the blocks for the 100 meters, ladies and gentlemen, Nimiksha Sidi, India.
I've seen that clip a few times in rehearsals and what have you, and every single time hairs on my neck go, because just that sort of the importance of these institutions that support people, that if they suddenly are disbanded, you know, her mother should have been at the Atlanta Games, and then the daughter doing it for the mother. I mean, I don't want to be too blunt about the comparison, but you know, there must be some feelings there.
Absolutely, like it's just so inspirational to watch that, and what a great example for the daughter to see her mother, you know, wanting to aspire to something and basically taken away from her, and now she wants to live her own dreams and live it out for her mum and hopefully for herself. This gives India great pride, but also a great look into what her future could be like. But you know, knowing that the resources wasn't there, I guess the Federation and India in itself need to give her an opportunity to get to those facilities and give her the resources that she requires to become a great athlete. She's obviously very, very talented, very, very young, but from a community that supports her, which is even better, because at the end of the day, once people get to major championships, it comes down to that emotional connection. It comes down to that, you know, how do you connect and how do you tell your story in a way? This is the most amazing storytelling right here, and hoping that more and more athletes around India who are watching will look at this and say, oh my gosh, that is my story. One day I want to be like her, or want to be like her mum, or whatever it may be.
So you often say it takes a village, right? That's your phrase to do many things in life. How reliant were you on people when you were in competitions at the Olympics? How many people did you? Because some athletes, I imagine, are, you know, one close friend. Others are a team of thousands. Yeah. What was your sort of vibe?
So basically, I mean, if you think of the bus, I'm the driver of my bus, and everybody on my bus is going to add value to this bus heading towards an Olympic campaign, Tokyo, etc. In my bus, I would have manager, strength and conditioning coach, technical coach, nutritionist, chiropractor, medical that I needed, children as well, but all these people add value to my bus. If at any time nobody's adding value to your bus, I have to feel empowered enough to kick them off my bus, because ultimately once you reach your destination, once you reach the Olympics and you get off your bus and compete, the world does not see your bus, they see you. And when you compete well, everybody celebrates. When you don't compete so well, everybody kind of suffers the consequences in your bus. But I take full responsibility for my results. I don't go out there if I don't perform well, you should have done this, you should have done that. Because at the end of the day, I controlled who was in my bus and who wasn't on my bus. So for me, I had a tight 5 people on my bus, and then other people will come in and out when the time was right. And as you get closer to a major championship, it becomes a 1 or 2 person game, you know, because ultimately what you want to do is block the noise out. So yes, it does take a village, but ultimately when you're heading towards a major, it gets less and less and less.
Wow. Might have to schedule some confidence training for both of us, just sitting next to her and listening to everything that she's saying.
I think you seem fine with confidence. Don't worry about it.
Okay, fair enough. It's probably misplaced then. But let's move on to our next inspirational stories. Of course, we've seen Naina and Majja. Here is Anish Mangalwarkar.
Our biggest burdens often lead us to our biggest blessings. And as soon as Anish Mangalwarkar hit his teens, life itself seemed suffocating, directionless, confused.
Mummy, half-boiled ka omelette da.
Hopeless of an uncertain future that was almost a certainty. For most Siddhis his age, a sports quota recruitment is the best shot at a stable employment. And it was in that moment, when he went on the blocks at a district-level sprint trial, that Anish realized his true calling all along. As a strong belief in his abilities dawned on him, Anish is no longer the boy lost in the wilderness. The fact that he came from a community the world didn't know existed. Constant money problems, hungry, sleepless nights. The life that he felt was a burden suddenly became his biggest asset. And today, he has his eyes firmly set on the Asian Games 2026. There was a time when Anish Mangalwarkar saw life as a dark storm. But today, the Olympian in him knows that the only way out of the storm is through it.
He's got a bright smile, which we're hoping gets brighter and brighter as the years go on. 2026, especially the Asian Games, the focus. I come to you. You've mentioned the desire. You've mentioned ability a couple of times as well. You know, finding that ability, but the structure, the support structure that comes in, and that is so crucial. And I take you back to what you mentioned about your first coach, how he supported you not just in terms of training, but everything around your life at that time, and how crucial that could have been to making you who you are today.
Absolutely, but can I just comment on how confident this young man is? Like,
Yes,
I
absolutely.
love his confidence and that smile and that drive. It really oozes out of that piece there that was just shown. Absolutely. So it does take people, and yes, you are right. My first coach came on board when I was 14 years old. Not only was she my coach, but she also helped kind of guide me through life. You know, when you're growing up with no parents around, you know, losing your mum at 15, you do become a little bit lost, and you need someone to be able to help you through life and navigate through life, because when you come from a low socioeconomic place and you're trying to navigate through life, nobody really takes you seriously. So I was very fortunate enough that she was able to help me build some type of stability to be able to have a home to live in, but also to train at the same time. I found myself then going to the World Junior Championships at the age of 16 and then into the Commonwealth Games. But it all came down to the fact that it took people that believed in me to give me a chance to actually play out or what this talent was going to do for me, and also where this journey was going to go. One of them was my PE teacher at school, and one of them was my coach. Both very strong females who took pity on me and gave me the opportunity and the chance to actually be an athlete.
And you seem to be paying it back, because we listened to you talking about, you know, finding people and inspiring people, and you take pride in what you do, and as you must, because that passion that you literally just beam out from your personality everywhere, it's very infectious, and it's so important for people who are here, who've seen you, who've spoken to you, who've watched you in our coverage as well, to get that as well. How are you going ahead, apart from what you're doing today, but just in your endeavor to encourage sportsmen?
You know, it is encouraging sportsmen, right? But for me, it's actually, where can I help? You know, if you have the ability, and a lot of people have the ability to help others. My PE teacher bought me a pair of shoes that made a difference for me. Those one pair of shoes in that one moment, I hope to then hand that forward, and I've done that multiple times. I'm sponsored, you know, by Nike, who give me like lots and lots of gear. I don't need all these throwing shoes. So if I find someone with talent, I'm more than willing to help them. And I encourage all my other fellow athletes to do the same, whether they have a pair of shoes or old pair of shoes. They don't even have to be new. But it makes a difference to people if you just value them, especially when they come from nothing. You know, it's hard. Money is very hard to come by for a lot of these communities. So, but if you see talent, and you as a person who can help believe in that talent, please give them the chance by, even if it's just an entry fee to one competition or just a $10 voucher to put some gas in their car.
It's fascinating, because we think of athletics in particular as a real meritocracy, right? Where you just, and as we've discussed here, you just go outside and run, and then that's fine. But it's not as simple as that.
No, it's not as simple as that. You know, it takes a little bit more than that. You need to have the right resources, the shoes and all the rest of it. It does take a lot of equipment to make athletics happen, apart from a running event like the one that we were at. You know, it is pretty simple. But in my community, the sports that we are pretty much involved in, because it's cheap, is rugby, netball. You know, they kind of throw you into that. To take on the sport of like athletics, not only it is a little bit expensive to participate in, but it's very competitive. It's actually really hard to make an Olympic team. It's actually very difficult to become an Olympic champion. So, I mean, for us, I mean, I love the sport with a passion, but if you find someone with a bit of talent who, you know, shows you something, just help them where you can, you know, and I encourage everyone. And if that athlete does not end up being the champion of Asian champion or making the team, that's okay. What you've done is given them a chance.
Okay. Well, Valerie, first of all, we want to apologize to you, because we know we stole you away from the party and brought you here, but thank you so much for giving us your time. Before we let you go, you know, just how your time has been in India, and to anyone who's been watching you, what would you like to say?
I love India. I love Bengaluru. I've really had the time of my life. I find it very vibrant and exciting and so colourful. People are amazing. Hospitality is next to none. But the best thing is the food. I love the dosa.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, dosa with the coconut chutney, the tomato chutney, the sambar. I think my My favourite is idli with the gunpowder and the ghee.
Yeah.
But every day I've eaten curry for lunch and dinner every single day, which is very unheard of. But I kind of feel like I'm Indian now. And the whole sari outfit the other night. And
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then you can obviously see my
the
mandi right now. I really love embracing your culture. So I definitely will be back, and hopefully I will be brought back here in one shape or form. But thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely pleasure. India will always welcome you with open arms. You've been a tremendous inspiration and also a lot of fun to talk to. And if I may say that, thank you so much for joining us from Jack and I and from everyone here.
Thank you so much.
We're taking another short break here, but don't go anywhere. It's a little while to go. We have our last 30 minutes, our final stretch, of course, and you definitely don't want to miss it.
Four iconic clubs. Two blockbuster semi-finals. Watch the UEFA Champions League semi-finals first leg live only on the Sony Sports Network. The UEFA Champions League is brought to you by FedEx and Lay's. UEFA Champions League sponsors.
My name is Cody Rhodes.
I'm numero uno, you know, the original king, I'm a sumo. No game, you old, I'm nouveau.
If you come at the king, you best not miss.
All hail to the king, I will not fall.
Watch WWE Backlash, Saturday night, 4th May, 9:30 p.m. Live only on the Sony Sports Network.
रोनाल्डो, नेमार, बेंजेमा, माने, मारेज, नेवेस, जेरार्ड, फर्मिनो. भाई ये लिस्ट तो मेरे मोनोलॉग से भी लंबी है. And अभी भी, this is just the beginning of the next big thing in the world of football. रोशन सऊदी प्रो लीग, हर वीकेंड वो भी प्राइम टाइम पर.
One of Saudi Pro League's greatest ever games.
कहाँ देखेगा? ब्रो अपने सोनी स्पोर्ट्स नेटवर्क पर.
I don't know what can happen in the future, but I'm gonna keep fighting to try to keep going.
No, I'm not a king. I'm the king.
Four iconic clubs. Two blockbuster semi-finals. Watch the UEFA Champions League semi-finals first leg live only on the Sony Sports Network.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. We rise on top, never show fear. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns
Would you believe it? Stop him if you can!
How much more can this game produce?
Right at the end of any time. And so there will be more.
Get ready for the biggest football party of the season, Euro 2024. Starts 14th of June only on the Sony Sports Network.
Welcome back. Like I mentioned before the break, it's our final stretch here, and we reflect on what we have seen all through the past few hours. We came in early this morning, hoping to have some fun. And Jack, before we talk about what's gone on in the 10K, the 5K, the 2.6K, it's been a whole lot of fun just watching it from here.
Oh, it's been fantastic, hasn't it? It's been great competition. It's been great spirit amongst the community, amongst the city. This is India's third most populous city, which I had no idea about until I was, doing all my important research on Wikipedia. And it's been phenomenal to be here and experience the passion that exists in this city for running. It's really remarkable.
And I would just like to reiterate, because you said this again, you know, that you didn't realize it's the third most populous city. It's because you've come on election days and the weekend. If you'd stayed the Monday, then you'd get a little bit of an idea of why people talk about Bengaluru and its traffic, but you're probably going to miss that. For now, we get our focus back on the race. It's been a great day of racing as well. We'll come to the fun element of it, the inspirational element of it, but just the way it started off in the morning with the Open K, with the number of participants, 17,000 participants. Bengaluru really turned up.
Yeah, they really did, and it was, again, we can't thank the Metro enough for opening at 3:30 in the morning to make sure everybody got here at an appropriate time and on time. And again, that sort of sustainability message that we've been talking about, people didn't need to drive, you could just hop on the Metro and mass public transport. And watching those, you know, when we were sort of pulling in, there were people already, you know, doing their warm-ups and all ready to go and really excited to compete, which I think is really cool, because sport is very serious, and we all take it very seriously. You know, you and I are sports broadcasters, and it's always very important who wins the match, who wins the race, who wins the whatever. But ultimately, it isn't life and death. Ultimately, it is fun, it is recreation, and for the competitors, they love running, whether that's in the Open 10K or the elite athletes. Athletes love doing their sport. Valerie Adams, who we were just here with, loved the competition of the shot put, you know? And it's really nice to remember the fun of it on occasion.
Absolutely, and now we go over to maybe some people having a little more fun than the others, because we're going over to the prize distribution, of course. We will be felicitating our winners, so let's join them right now.
Well, that was Lillian Casate taking the victory in the women's elite race earlier on, setting a time of 30 minutes and 56 seconds, managing to beat Emmanuela Cole and Lemlem Hailu. And there is the certificate for Lillian for taking the victory, and of course the prize money of $26,000 US. There's Lemlem Hailu on the right hand side, and there is the aforementioned check, which is going to help her a lot in her push for the Olympics this summer. And a really, really impressive race it was, because as we said many times, Immaculate Ankle there on the left-hand side seemed to be the favourite, but Lillian Casate took the victory, 21 seconds ahead of Akol, and then 27 seconds back to Lemlem Hailu in third place. Good run from Abereshwin Sewo, actually, to finish in fourth spot, and Rachel Chebet completing the top 8 of the 11 women elites who took part. And yeah, a really dominant performance from Lillian Casate in a way that maybe we weren't expecting. We also should have been expecting the dominations from Sanjivini, the reigning, well, not reigning champion in 2018, event record holder, and another win for her today.
Yep, absolutely. And the prize money that you've been mentioning, always an incentive, and here they are being awarded the medal, of course, and the check for the winner. Of course, the men's prize money and the women's prize money is exactly the same. So 2,75,000 is what is being awarded. And Sanjeevani ran quite a race in the elite women. Of course, we saw a little bit of a pack towards the end, and Lillian breaking out, but Sanjeevani dominated this from start. Looked like she was one of the pack that was going to lead it, and towards the end, she was just out on her own.
Yeah, she was, and she's someone who competes regularly in these Indian races. Here's a look at the results. She finished 10 seconds ahead of Lily Das, who was very, very impressive, and Preenu Yadav, both making it onto the podium there, doing a very, very strong job. But like I say, with Sanjeevani, she's won the Tata Mumbai Marathon, she's won the Vedanta Delhi Half Marathon, all of which come together along with the Tata Steel Kolkata 25K, to create the Pro-Cam Slam, which is something that we've heard mentioned a couple of times today, and it's these 4 races that make up this Pro-Cam Slam that are the biggest running races in India, and that's why we see people, they want to do them all. You know, that's their target for the year, is I want to compete in the 25, the 10, the half marathon, and the full marathon. It's a really fantastic setup that program have.
We saw the top 8 finishes in the elite women, and of course the Indian women. It doesn't tell the entire story of the race. We mentioned the new course there, the 10K, and how people went about it. We spoke about the fact that when it came to the elite women, you know, we saw a little bit of a group that finally broke out. Lillian Casate towards the end putting in that effort. We'll take a look at some of those visuals as well. And again, we were wondering whether the weather, you said this right at the start of the show, we were wondering whether the weather would come into play, whether the new course, whether the uphill the downhill on kilometer 5, which became the uphill on the way back, and it seemed like the event record that obviously when you're doing a broadcast, you're hoping that happens so you can talk about it. That wasn't to be for us.
No, it is just so warm here this weekend, and I know you say it's every weekend, but it is still a challenge for these athletes, and it's very, very impressive what they managed to do, even if they didn't set the course record.
Now, Valerie, of course, was here with us in the studio, but she's now with Madhu back at the party.
A daughter chasing an unfulfilled legacy, a teenager searching for the true meaning of freedom, and another one trying to pursue her dream. Ladies and gentlemen, their journey has begun. There's a long way to go, and I would now like to request our international event ambassador, Dame Valerie Adams, to be accompanied by Mr. Nirish Lalan, Zonal Head South, IDFC First Bank, Bengaluru, and Mr. Sachin Mehta, Head Branch Banking and Corporate Salary, IDFC First Bank, Bengaluru, to kindly felicitate these athletes. Up first, Nisha Sidi. Up next, Anish. Also, Nayana Kokare.
That's what Siddharth said.
Sid, you want to start from...
Welcome back. And we've just seen the felicitation there, of course, Valerie Adams. And I'll say this again, podium, she doesn't need a podium. She's pretty much the height of the people that she was felicitating who were standing on top of the podium. Now we have someone joining us who's pretty much as big in stature. Vivek B. Singh is joining us right now from Procam International. And I know you want to talk about a lot of things. I know you want to cover them. We will come to that. I'm telling you that right now. I want to start off with this figure of 72 crores.
Fabulous, absolutely right. This is true public-private ownership of the event. 73 crores almost is what was raised at the Tata Mumbai Marathon in January. And we must go back to when it started, when this pillar was just a fledgling. We raised 100,000 US dollars the first year, 42 lakhs, I remember. And look at how it's come. Not just the fact that it has transformed so many lives, thousands and thousands of lives have been transformed by the figures raised every year. It's the way it has been done. The transparency, the way public has actually supported a cause they believe in. Corporates have supported a cause they believe in. We are completely cause agnostic. People run for and people raise monies for a cause they choose. Look at Bangalore. We've crossed 50 crores in Bangalore for the TCS World 10K. It's just so magical that this bond, you see, there was a trust deficit. In India, we're talking just India now, not just the 73 crores of Mumbai. People gave to temples, people gave to religious places of worship very easily. But when it came to giving civil society organizations, they were like wary. That bond which a simple sport of running and the Procam platform has fostered, the bond between corporate giving, individual giving, high net worth giving, and civil society organizations. Today, the largest platform for philanthropy in sport is running. Over 500 crores raised in the last 20 years.
Wow, that's fantastic. And just a confirmation of what you said, there you go, close to 73 crores raised for humanitarian causes by NGOs, corporates and citizens at the Tata Mumbai Marathon 2024. In terms of numbers, there you go, the number of participating NGOs, 268 corporates, 179 corporate teams, 267 individuals as well who signed up to raise funds, 1,650. And since its inception, I mean, this is why I started with the 72 crores, because it blew my mind. I know you wanted to talk about other things, but we're looking at figures of 400 crores, and this is absolutely staggering. We're taking a look at today's event, the highest fundraising NGOs, and there's been so much participation. You know, we were talking about when we met you 2 days ago, Go Sports Foundation, and there's Smile Foundation in there as well, and all that they're doing. The top corporates here, we're listing them down as well. And you mentioned that public-private, but you know, just the fact, even if we don't give them a label right now in terms of being public or private, just the number of factors that come in to make such sort of figures possible, and the amount of effort must be absolutely mammoth.
It is, you know, we all have I would say, so many of us are privileged, and we have an obligation to actually help those who are not as privileged as us. If each one can help just one, I think this world will be a better place. And it's platforms like this, like the TCS World 10K Bangalore, that make it possible. Yeah. There's so many people out there say, I want to do good, but where do I start? What do I do? We say, come, join this. It's platforms like this that give you an opportunity, a credible, transparent, and magical opportunity to make a difference.
They absolutely do. And if you're running, they make a difference to your fitness as well, which is an added incentive for everyone. We'll just stick around a little while longer. We're taking a very short break, and then, of course, the absolute final stretch of our coverage. You want to come in?
4 iconic clubs. 2 blockbuster semi-finals. Watch the UEFA Champions League semi-finals first leg, live only on the Sony Sports Network. The UEFA Champions League is brought to you by FedEx and Lay's. UEFA Champions League sponsors.
Pantoja's a hunter, the best 125-pound fighter in the world. Steve Arsag.
This man is very well rounded.
He can do it all at a world-class level.
The legendary king of Rio, Jose Aldo Jr., the man's an absolute living legend.
Jonathan Martinez, 6 wins in a row.
UFC live from Rio de Janeiro.
Watch UFC 301, Sunday 5th May live on Sony Sports Network. UEFA Europa League semi-finals first leg, Roma vs Leverkusen, Friday 3rd May 12:30 AM live on Sony Sports Network. ये है जिहान, अपनी मुंबई का छोकरा. Jihan Daruwala, tearing up those tracks for Maserati MSG Racing.
Buckle up, fam, because the ride is just getting started.
Wonderful run across the line. Provisional pole position.
Join me as I race in Berlin 11th May. Formula E, कहाँ दिखेगा? सिर्फ Sony Sports Network पर.
I don't know what can happen in the future, but I'm gonna keep fighting to try to keep going.
No, I'm not a king. I'm the king.
Four iconic clubs. 2 blockbuster semi-finals. Watch the UEFA Champions League semi-finals first leg, live only on the Sony Sports Network. The UEFA Champions League is brought to you by FedEx and Lay's. UEFA Champions League sponsors.
Well, Welcome back, as we are pretty much on our home stretch right now with Jack and Vivek still here with me. Before we move on and show us our viewers the results from the other categories as well, Vivek, I just want to get a reaction from you. Valerie was here. She said she was having a party. She said she was enjoying it outside. I know we've pulled you away. We saw visuals of you having quite a nice time outside as well. So just describe to us what you have enjoyed in the last, say, 4 hours.
So yeah, you know, it's wonderful how the TCS World 10K brings everybody together, right? International event ambassadors, and they come here not knowing what to expect. They see these thousands of people, and they see things celebrating. They can't believe it. They've seen elite athletes all their life. Suddenly they see these thousands of people, A, with a look in their eyes that they're elite for those few hours, and B, celebrating. And it's so nice. We had everybody dancing, we had everybody singing. We had that kind of energy and passion coming out. I mean, it's wonderful, you know. There are so many things that pull us down in life. We know that. We see that every day. There are certain things that elevate our spirit. And it's runs like the TCS World 10K Bengaluru that elevate our spirit, elevate our consciousness, make us more aware of our personal health, well-being. And I'm not just talking physical health. Running, as you know, is meditative.
Yeah.
Distance running is meditative. So we're talking mental health, we're talking physical health, we're talking overall well-being. And like we spoke, Arpit, just a few minutes ago, if you're running for another, can you imagine the joy and satisfaction of that?
Yeah.
You cross the finish line, the time that you've set for yourself, and you know at the end of your run, you've helped somebody less fortunate.
Fantastically said. I think it couldn't have been better put. That's interesting you said that. Let's now show you the results of the men's category. We already spoke about how some of the open runners felt elite in that moment, but of course there is a slight difference, Jack, and we were watching the men run today, the elite international athletes and the Indian athletes as well. Fantastic racing for both those groups.
Yeah, it really was. The Indians in particular, you had no idea who was going to win until the last few moments. In the elites, it was a little more straightforward. Peter Mwaniki came through and took the victory. Again, about halfway through, 6-7 kilometers in, there was a big group, but then Peter just stretched his legs, took the advantage and took the victory in fairly commanding style. It was second place this year for Hilary Chepkwani. He finished third last year, so if he comes back next year, he'll win. That's
the
how
progression.
it works, right? And third place, again, I've raved about him already, but Hagos Diop, the 17-year-old, making his debut, finishing in third spot. And there is the $26,000 for Peter Mwaniki as he looks ahead now to the Kenyan trials in June, where he will be trying to get part or become part of the Kenyan team to compete in Paris later this year. But a really, really superb performance from Peter Mwaniki. He finishes about 17 seconds ahead of Hilary Chepkwani. Then Bravin Kiptu and Bravin Kiprop were the two racers that we thought would be the closest to challenging Peter Mwaniki, but in the end they finished, 35 seconds away from him, which was quite the surprise. And another man making his debut, Jemburu Sise, the Ethiopian, the 18-year-old, coming through in 7th place in the end, which was not a bad result for him, just over a minute behind Peter Mwaniki. In the Indian race, though, a new event record for Kiran Matra, a really, really stunning run. And again, we saw throughout the whole of that race, you didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah.
And eventually he got the win over Ranjit Kumar Patel and Dharmendra in third spot, but fantastic to see the event record broken.
Interestingly, you mentioned the event record breaking, and I think we were caught up in a wave of emotions where we said, oh, look, the first and second have broken the event record, but just confirmation, which you'll see on your television screens in a little while, that it was more than two who actually went past the event record set, which is saying something, because, you know, we spoke about the elite men and women and we expected it.
Yeah.
And the Indian men turned up and said, oh, hey, hold on, what's the event record? Let's just 4 of us break it.
Yeah, exactly. And that event record has stood since 2015, I think. Yeah, Suresh Kumar in 2015. That's how difficult it's been to break this event record. And so then suddenly, for those top 4, the old event record was 29.49. So the top 4 all coming in underneath that record was absolutely superb. Deepak Bhatt looked like he was going to have a strong run, but in the end slipped back to 4th place. Harmanjot Singh, again, we thought he might be a little bit stronger than he was, but a 5th place nevertheless. He was still involved in that fight, though, and it was difficult to pick a winner into the closing stages.
Yep. Now we're obviously talking about that event record, and Vivek, I come to you because a new course, which is why, you know, we're talking about the fact that the course has changed. These athletes possibly have to adapt to it. Just putting it together, And what were your expectations? We were sitting here talking about 4 of these gentlemen breaking this event record. So just first talk us through how you put it through with all the participating parties and the fact that the 9-year-old record has been broken by 4 Indian gentlemen.
Absolutely, that's been heartwarming. First of all, my kudos to the government of Karnataka, without whose support this is not possible. They've been wonderful partners to this event. The Bengaluru Police, the Bengaluru Municipal Corporation, which is called BBMP. This is the wonderful part. Just to give you one context, the Bangalore Metro Rail Corporation, which actually starts on a Sunday at 7 a.m., starts every service to MG Road at 3:30 in the morning, just so that thousands of runners can be facilitated.
Yeah.
That is magical, to coming together like this. So really, hats off to all the authorities who've just been so wonderful. God bless them. Bangalore, that's been so wonderful. Coming to the Indian context, if you go back maybe 10, 15 years ago, these guys did not have an opportunity to run against the world's best.
Yeah.
Unless they spent a lot of money and traveled to distant places.
Yeah.
Look what's happening now. The world's best are coming to India, running in their backyard. They're running with them and they're saying, you know what? He's as human as me. And you're seeing it out here.
And we're seeing it in the near future as well. That's a very good point that you've brought across, Vivek. And I'm just going to expand on that. Because at the Paris Olympics, these are the Indian track and field athletes who have qualified. Of course, Avinash Sable, last time around at the Asian Games, gave us something to absolutely celebrate. Parul Chaudhary, Neeraj Chopra, who now, all of us just automatically assume that he's going to go for gold. Kishore Jena, who actually pushed Neeraj the last time around in the Asian Games. Murali Srishankar in the long jump, who's been very impressive. Akshdeep Singh, Vikas Singh, Paramjeet Bish, Priyanka Goswami, Suraj Panwar, Servin Sebastian, Arshpreet Singh and Ram Babu are the ones who've qualified so far in the athletics. Yes, Jack.
And a perfect example of that is Avinash Sable, who in 2022 was running the Delhi half marathon. He was racing in the pro-cam events, which is fantastic to see those athletes now competing at the Paris Olympics.
Absolutely, and that's what they need. They need that shot in the arm, and the Athletic Federation is doing a lot. The government of India is doing a lot, the Sports Authority of India. Suddenly the consciousness of that Olympic medal is much more than the 6 grams of gold in it. Yeah. We are seeing that the 6 grams of gold, which is all that there is in an Olympic medal, can lift the worth of a nation. And that's what we want. The soft power of India has to start coming through. It's coming through in many fields, right? It's coming through in IT, it's coming through in our motion picture industry. It's also coming through now in sport.
Yeah. Vivek, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for everything that you have been a part of to get all of this together, because the impact that it has had, not just for the racers, but people around it, the community, the city as well, has been absolutely tremendous, and it's been a pleasure having you in studio and speaking to you. Jack, lots of thanks to you as well. I was very nervous before this coverage, but you've handled it. No, just preparing so much, like you said. But it's been brilliant talking to you over the course of this. It's been a fantastic event. We've enjoyed it thoroughly. I hope you enjoyed our coverage as well. It began really early in the morning with the Open 10K, of course, and then the elites, the Indian elites, and of course the champions with disabilities and the seniors. And there's more coming your way in October. Of course, there will be the Vedanta New Delhi Half Marathon. We'll see you then.
ಕಲೆಯೊಂದು ಜನಿಸಬೇಕು ತೆರೆದಂಥ ಮನದ ಒಳಗೆ ನಂಬಿಕೆಯು ಧ್ವನಿಸಬೇಕು ಸೋತು ದಣಿದ ಚೇತನವ ಕನಸೊಂದು ಎಬ್ಬಿಸಬೇಕು ಸಂಕಲ್ಪದ ರಭಸಕ್ಕೆ ಚೌಕಟ್ಟು ಮುರಿಯಲೇಬೇಕು ನಿಶ್ಚಯಿಸು ಇದು ಸಾಧ್ಯವಿದೆ ಭಾವಿಸು ನೀ ಇದು ಸಾಧ್ಯವಿದೆ ನಿಶ್ಚಯಿಸು ಇದು ಸಾಧ್ಯವಿದೆ ಧಾವಂತಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂಧನಗಳು ಸೋಲಲೇಬೇಕು ಸೋಲಲಿದೆಲೆಯ ಮುಖವಾಡಗಳು ಕೊನೆಗೊಮ್ಮೆ ಕಳಚಲೇಬೇಕು ಮುಕ್ತವಾದ ಯಾನಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಸ್ವಚ್ಛಂದ ಬಾನು ಕಾಯುತ್ತಿದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲೆಗಳ ದಾಟಿ ಬಂತು ಹಾರುವಾಗಳಿಗೆ
4 iconic clubs. 2 blockbuster semi-finals. Watch the UEFA